Everybody, my name is Jordan Kamer, tech teacher slash tech coordinator slash instructional technology specialist at P169. We are on the Upper East Side. We're District 75 school, and we're spread out over a total of 5 sites. So I do all the tech and help out with that kind of stuff. Today we're going to be doing 3D printing. So this was actually 3D printed. I brought it in as an example of the kinds of stuff you can do and how complex it can be. This as well. And what we're really going to be focusing on, 3D printed prosthetic hands, which are purely mechanical. No motors, none of that, and they cost like 20-ish bucks a piece to make. So the kicker is that 3D printers are incredibly expensive. Decent ones can range anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. And once the presentation goes, I'm going to show you all the different models and all the different options. And my goal is not to put these guys outside of the business, but to make it where any teacher anywhere who wants a 3D printer in their classroom can have a 3D printer. And realistically, you're not just being handed $3,000 to $6,000 plus just for the printer. But at $300 for a printer, you can go right on DonorsChoose, and very quickly you can have a 3D printer. You don't need to be a tech teacher to do it. So I'm going to go over this and give you all the resources you need. It's fun. Anybody who likes tinkering, building, creating, it's a really fun hobby. One of my favorite things, move into an apartment, fully renovate the place myself, and then when it's done, it's like, what do I do now? What I love about 3D printing is every single day you're building, creating, tinkering. So that desire to create, it just keeps expanding. There's always something to do.
We can't get the visual.
I brought a whole bunch of examples, and instead of just talking about it, I brought a 3D printer. I'm going to show you what it is I did with this printer, how I modified it. I'll show you videos, etc. And then the thing that I had the most difficulty with was links to everything, down to the nuts and bolts. Where do I buy these things? So basically what I ended up doing was I created a link of every single item that I personally bought. And you'll see once the slide comes up here, the presentation is literally 58 slides. Probably about 20-ish is the presentation. But the next probably like 30 to 40 slides, it's just every single item that I bought, where to get it, best prices, etc. So I'm just hugely relieved to know that this was not my doing. Though I wonder, did they have this set up before? And the kicker is, I even brought as backups an HDMI cable, a USB cable, and it doesn't have the proper inputs anyway, so it's VGA or bust. In this case, I guess it's bust. I do want to see one thing though, if they ever even attempt to.
Do they have the HDMI there?
No, they don't.
Is this an old
Yeah. You know what I'm curious about actually? Now that you said that, this would be ridiculous. There is an HDMI up here.
Right. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, let's put it here, slink it over, and not even use the touch screen or whatever. I'm curious what your suggestion is, because we just got a really good one. If that doesn't work, what we're going to do is, I have an HDMI cable with me, plug it right into the projector, slink it behind here. It won't be a smart board or Promethean, but it should be something.
Okay, why don't you plug this into the board to the laptop?
Okay, let's see. Real quick, let's see if this works, otherwise, plan B.
Yeah.
Okay. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. Let's see. Hey! Thank you, Nick. I'm so curious what they did in the last session.
Sean figured it out.
What's your name?
Sean.
John? Pleasure. Thank you, sir. Good stuff. All right.
Still got my remote? Yes.
Good stuff. Now I'll start the way I wanted to start. And then I was going to tell you about myself anyway, so good. Good stuff. Ready? Good. Let us begin. We're going to start with Luke Dennison. Very good.
I live in Falmouth. I I am 8 years old, and my name is Lucas Dennison.
Luke is my son. He is my 4th child out of 7. He was born with no fingers on his left hand. It's called semi-brachydactyly. It's developed in the womb. It doesn't hold him back.
I have my first hand that my dad made, my second hand, my third hand, my fourth hand, and my fifth hand, which is this. The fifth one is this one. Now that I have this hand, I can like bring it to school and show it off. They think it's really cool, and I tell them that my dad made it.
He loves every time I tell him, hey, we've got a new hand to print out, and he can't wait to get his hands on it. He loves to pick and choose his colors. He asks me, can you make this color, can we do this with it, can we do that? So he gets involved in the process too, very much.
Luke is a perfect example of how the community works. e-NABLE's a wonderful worldwide organization. We have over 5,000 volunteers across the globe. We 3D print and donate free of charge assisted hand devices to kids and adults. Parents can download the files themselves and 3D print them, or they can come to e-NABLE and we'll find somebody either local or somebody that's willing to print and mail the parts for them. Simplicity is key when we're working on these ones, and they're for children and adults that have a partial wrist, but they are missing most of their hands and fingers, and they're able to still do this motion. And it's that motion, when they bend the wrist, that it makes the fist. If something breaks, you can just print out a new part right on the spot. One of the things I love to do with them is theme them out. I was always a big comic book fan as a kid. I printed some safe Velcro plastic Wolverine claws, which has been a hit everywhere I take it, schools and events. And of course, Captain America, and then the Iron Man one is always big with kids. The first time I built a hand for a child, and I saw him picking something up, it stuck with me for weeks. It was the most amazing feeling. And that's why I continue to do what I do, because every time I build one for a child, it's like, okay, who's next?
It feels good to know that having the printer, having the resources available through the community, that, being able to print this out, I made this for him. And it does feel really good.
All right. So, there we go. Now we're rolling a bit. So I work in District 75, and I work with emotionally disturbed students. So if you don't work in that population, you can't imagine what comes out of their mouth. And for me, the thing that I struggled with in working with this population is trying to figure out, how do you teach empathy? Just in general, because you're not born with it. I worked first in District 10 in the Bronx. Before that, when I was a paraprofessional, before I became a teacher, I worked in District 25 in Queens. That was a piece of cake. Then District 10 was tough, and this is the toughest thing I've ever experienced. I had a kid literally slam my pinky in the door last year and break it on purpose. So we're talking like some kids, zero empathy. So for me, I was trying to think, instead of just going on DonorsChoose and randomly trying to create a project with some laptops, whatever, what's something really meaningful that I can do? It's actually going to sink in. So just brainstorming, and I'm looking at different ideas, and I just keep thinking of 3D printing, but $3,000, $6,000, it seems like an unattainable amount of money to fundraise. So I just kept thinking of different ideas. And then eventually I came across a printer called the Monoprice Maker Select version 2. So e-NABLE, which is the name of the organization that puts these hands together, the least expensive printer that they recommend is called a Low Spot Mini, and it retails for about $1,500. So I thought that's reasonable. $1,500, I can raise that kind of money. So not even exaggerating, in 2 days with DonorsChoose, I raised the money, which was incredible. And Ellen Goodman, who is a teacher in the city and also ambassador for the city for DonorsChoose, she helped me put the project online and get it noticed. So DonorsChoose has what's called giving communities. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes, we just have a workshop.
Well, I'll give you a super long story short for people that aren't aware. So it's basically people who come together and they say, this is a worthy project, we're all going to contribute a few dollars to this project. And in no time at all, a project will get funded. But it's not the most common thing for a project to be up on a giving community's website. So the kicker, and the reason that they put mine on there, is because I have a little bit of a backstory. I'll do a long story short. I had groceries delivered, and in the grocery bag was a block of dry ice that wasn't supposed to be there. This is about 3 years ago. So, block of dry ice, a big block of dry ice that they use to keep the groceries nice and cool. So the long story short is I almost lost both my hands. They're like this, frostbite. And it was also my tenure year of teaching, which is the kicker. Didn't take any days off. This is during like the Cuomo time when teachers are terrible and all that. And I'm like, I have no hands. I'm gonna work every day. Unless I'm at Jacoby Medical Burn Center. But that's my backstory. So the irony is, before that accident happened, I was building mechanical hands out of McDonald's straws with my students. And when I came back, I was teaching them, if you put a tendon here, the finger goes like this. So when I came back like this, the kids said, yeah, come on, you can't move your hands? Very funny, Mr. Kamer. So 3 years ago, I was already looking into this. And today, we're making it. So let me fast forward the presentation a little bit and see what we are up to. Just a quick overview of the agenda. What we're going to do today is look at where to buy a quality 3D printer, how to get a printer cheap without sacrificing quality, which is what almost this entire workshop is going to be about today. How to successfully write a grant to fund a printer, and you guys can always just go on DonorsChoose and refer to the one that I actually wrote, the series that I actually wrote, and just play off of that. How to mod your printer to get the most out of it. Everything you see here that's colorful is a mod that wasn't here before. All the green, these bars were not here. Piece in the back, these pieces, one actually broke on the way here, which is fine, so we can print more. Costs nothing to print. And then, for those who are interested at the end, I put together, this is the most important and first mod that you should create. I put 5 bags of these. So if people were actually interested in doing this, I'll do like a little raffle, give away 5 of these, and then we'll have like 1 grand prize. All the parts you need, what's called the Z-brace. That's this whole piece and the piece in the back. In this, you just go to Home Depot, you get one of these and chop it in half. Cost about $2-3. Couple of nuts and bolts, whatever. I'll show you where to get that. But this right here is what turns the printer into a beast. Paired with this. There's a lot of other stuff too, but I'm gonna show you how to do that. Okay. Where to find 3D printed prosthetic designs. I'll show you the website that I use to get all that, and it's all open source and easily accessible. Because the idea is we don't charge money for what we do it because it's a good thing. Where to find 3D printed, how to print the designs, where we'll actually start doing that. We'll print something today. Maybe we'll print some bed stabilizers, but I want people to actually come up and learn how to do everything with this printer. Because basically what you pay for when you get an Ultimaker or you get a MakerBot is for it to do everything for you. It's like stick shift versus automatic. Having like an old crappy car versus a really nice new car that's just perfect. If you get that old crappy car and you learn how to fix that car and you learn how to drive that car, when you get that really nice car, you're going to appreciate the really nice car. But when anything goes wrong, you're going to know what to do. This will have problems being transported today. And I've also intentionally thrown some problems in there that we'll troubleshoot and fix, like the smart board, Promethean board. Printing strategies for success. Contrary to popular belief, this is not for my hair. The hairspray is actually for the 3D printer. I'll show you what we do with that. Remote monitoring options. So I have these little LifeCam cinema cameras that are over here. That is a good option, and I'll show you how that works. Just really, you got to think about it. If something takes 10 hours or so to print, the school day is only 6 hours, you have to print overnight, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that and how to remotely control everything. I have a lab at home I can control. I have a lab at work I can control. I have one in my office I can control. So it's all remote. I'll teach you how to do that. These are the things that you don't really see guides for, but I'll show you how to do all that fun stuff. How to time lapse. Time lapsing is just fun. You print something out and you see it come to life. I'll show you how to do that too. Community resources. Virtually everything I learned how to do is from a community resource, and the reason that I recommend this printer in particular, even if you have the money to buy a more expensive one, is because this is the most widely used printer. This is like what people use, your day-to-day person. So the idea is if you had $6,000, you could have a really nice printer, or you could have 20 printers like this. You don't need 20 printers. If you had 4, you wouldn't know what to do with them. So let's say that you had 2 printers like this, or 3 printers like this, and then you still had the excess money, then you can buy really high-end materials and you can print out beautiful mods. So the idea isn't even a matter of if I had the money. How can you justify that? If you're teaching, I could have every single class doing their own project every single day. And the only thing I have to worry about is burning through filament, which you'll see goes a long way, contrary to popular belief. Then we'll wrap up, questions, answer, session rating, all that fun stuff. And then before we go, I'll click through all the resources and it'll make your head spin because I spent months putting together this resource list. Also, is everybody here a member of the NYCSchoolsTech Facebook group?
Facebook?
Yeah.
I will put that up real quick just so you guys can see it. This group is sensational. I use it literally every day at work. I have it up. I had my principal once walk in on me, see me speak to Lisa. You guys know Lisa Nielsen?
Yeah.
Director of Digital Engagement. So here we go. Good. This group, if you join it, which you all can, go away chat bar. If you join this group and if you just search for my name, anything I've ever posted will come up. And anything I've ever posted typically has to do with 3D printing. So there's people within the group who have actually asked, I'm interested in getting one of these, what do I need to get, etc. And I've walked them through it. I've made instructional how-to videos, so you can actually go there and you can see all of it. So the NYCSchoolsTech group, and I'll post that at the end of the session too, for anybody who's interested. Now, fast forward there. So different vendor options. The main companies are Ultimaker, MakerBot, to a lesser extent BullsBot, and then to an unknown extent Monoprice, which is my choice. I could click through each of these and show you specs, but I want to show you money first. So Ultimaker, least expensive model, $2,500. A more advanced version of that same model, approximately $3,000. Their mid-range, $3,500, and their high-end, $6,000. MakerBot, the Mini. Whenever we talk about a Mini, we talk about this bed is about 8 inches by 7 inches. It can print about 8 inches high. When you're talking about a Mini, you're usually talking about 6 inches or less of space. So that's not very much. To give you an idea, this, just in terms of space-wise, just to print this mess, this piece right here would be physically impossible. It would have to be cut in pieces. So the crazy thing is, anything that's considered to be a mini is usually going to run around $1,500 or so and isn't practical to print most things. So just by default, you're really talking at $3,000 plus if you want to be able to print anything that's realistically usable. So all these low-end models, they just don't even make any sense, honestly. So yeah, here, mini, $1,300. I feel like that's just like lure you in, and then you realize not practical. So then you bump up to the $2,500, which is where it really starts, and $6,500. Bull spot. This is where I started, because I saw the $1,500 price and I thought, wow, that might just be doable. Problem is, it was a mini. So I had this printer, the Mini 2, for approximately 1 month. In that 1 month, I did everything you could do with it. I built hands, I built toys for my students, keychains, little Minecraft figures, all that fun stuff. And then I was just itching to 3D print at home. So during spring break, I carried the printer home the same way that I did here with this massive suitcase, Subway and everything, and it was so incredibly unreasonable. I said, oh, I'm never going to do that again, even though I just did it again. So I'm just itching to 3D print, and I'm timing things, and I only have so many hours in the day. So if it's going to be 6 hours, I'd wake up, I'd set an alarm, wake up in the middle of the night, 6 hours, and I have to print something else. 7 hours, exactly at 7 hours, even if I was out, I have to come back because I have to 3D print. Because at work, you only have 6 hours in the day. If you're teaching, you realistically don't have 6 hours in the day. You have a prep here, a lunch there. I'd stay after school for like 3 hours until my principal kicked me out. I'd get there as early as the custodian would let me get in. I said, I need to have a printer at home. That's when I started looking at Monoprice.
What did you not? I'm sorry.
Yeah, right? That was my reaction. So I'm researching it. And the kicker is, these aren't even the best prices. This is the manufacturer's prices. I bought mine on eBay. First one I bought came out to $215 even. For a Maker Select version 2, which retails for $300 plus tax. I bought mine for $215. Then I bought my second one, used, and I knew enough from the first one that I was able to fix it up. And I think I maybe spent $250 or $450 combined between two printers that I have at home, which wouldn't even be a dent in the price of the cheapest, crappiest printer you could buy. So the $159.99, don't even bother looking at it because it's a mini. The $200, also a mini. Anything from here down is what's worth looking at. So the $300 one is the Maker Select version 2. That's this right here. The Plus edition, all it is, instead of having this manual box that's over here, it has an interface that's over here. Other than that, it's basically the same printer. And what you'll see really quickly is that the box is actually pretty good. And I was spoiled with the original printer that I had. And then I realized why I like this printer more, which I'll get into in one sec. So don't even worry about the Plus edition. Then, this is kind of crazy. I'm kind of tempted to get one of these at some point, but like I said, not everybody has these, so not as much tech support to help you out. This thing down here, the $700 one, when you walk outside and you see their Ultimakers, or I think it was Ultimaker out there, it literally looks like an Ultimaker. It has the enclosure, it has everything. But here's what you have to realize. The enclosure doesn't serve any practical purpose unless you're printing a material called ABS. It's to make it very, very, very hot. Realistically, you will never print ABS in school because it smells terrible. This material, which we'll go into after PLA, it has like a sweet smell when it burns. It's like roasted marshmallows. It doesn't need any ventilation. And realistically, okay, you got this beautiful enclosure, whatever. This thing doesn't generate so much heat. The only thing that can hurt you is what's called the hot end, which eventually I'll raise this up and let you see it. It's the little nozzle, if you think of a hot glue gun. That's the thing that can burn you. That's it. So You know, you're an adult, you're not gonna touch it. And realistically, people think, oh, well, it's an enclosure, so it'll help protect the kids. The reality is when the enclosure opens up, it's like an oven. This, you just need to make sure the kid doesn't touch that. This doesn't get that hot, 60 degrees Celsius, which is, it doesn't even burn at the top. This, realistically, it's not going to hurt you. If you touch it, it's of a kid, whatever, just, it's fine. The enclosure, however, people think that it's a safety, whatever. It's not a safety anything. It's sticking your hands into an oven. So the reality is, it looks really nice. I should put my hands on and wave. I should do one of these.
Hi.
Is that cute? Back to the show. So the idea is with the enclosure, it really, as far as our standpoint, it doesn't serve a purpose. If we're teaching an engineering class or we're teaching high school, something like that, then yeah, ABS would make perfect sense because that's when you're talking about engineer grade parts, mechanical parts. Realistically, this is made out of PLA. If you can make something as complex as this out of PLA, to spend thousands of more dollars so that you can have an enclosure makes no sense. And if you truly want an enclosure, you buy 4 pieces of plexiglass. I'll show you that too. I'm like, I really will blow your minds once we get into mods and whatnot, because this right here, I made these. I don't even have an enclosure, but I wanted you to see. I actually printed these out just for the sake of showing you guys this. Pretend that you have 4 pieces of plexiglass. That's it. 4 pieces of plexiglass with those, just generic.
Did you make those?
Yeah, 3D printed. Yeah,
Wait, so the materials says POA?
PLA.
What is that?
I'll show you this after calling you whatever. Anybody know off the top of your head?
It's not like, you know about those 3D pillars? Is this
Yeah.
just the
Yep.
same, not the same material or
Same,
similar?
so that's, yeah, same material. Yeah. But if you had 4 pieces of plexiglass and you printed those, you have an enclosure. And that's, you see there are different selling points. Basically what happened was I spent $1,500, I got my Lowe's bot. After getting my Lowe's bot and I saw what this thing can do, I'd call them and you could actually speak to the tech support people and they would actually pick up the people who designed it and I'd say, how do you justify the price? I just got this $300 printer and anybody wants to take a look. I can do everything that your printer can do and more, and the printer's $300. And they couldn't justify the reason. The real answer was, when you clean this, when it came down, it would go like this. And it had a little sponge piece. And it would go like this and it would clean itself. Self-cleaning. It can take the sponge and go like this. So that's one.
The love ball has to clean it, and this one doesn't.
It had a little in the back, like in the back,
It's
imagine.
something that cleans it.
Yeah, it just, when it comes down, it would go like this.
And that was the difference?
That's one. I'm telling you the differences right now. So one, it self-cleans. I don't know. Sponges aren't that expensive. I can go like this, and when it gets really grimy, I can throw it out. So that's one. Two, it had an extruder gear. So basically, when this is down here, I've intentionally left it cut like this to show you how we take it apart and how we'd load it in, how we'd switch it, and how we'd extrude. I'll show you that. But all you do is just take this and push it down, and it goes through. Yeah?
So when you put the filament in,
Yeah.
does the nozzle, like, are there any problems with the nozzle messing up? Or
Nope.
the filament getting caught in the nozzle?
And if that
it's
were
hot?
ever to happen, I'll show you how to take apart a clog too. Am I the only person wearing a suit? Because the suit's completely impractical. I would never wear a suit at work. If I did this and I was superintendent, I would not wear a suit to work. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm like constantly like, this suit will have to go in the garbage when I'm done today. But the idea is the little kids are the best because I'm always down here to see what I want to see. So today, there's going to be a lot of us down here doing things like this. Because the idea is everybody who wants to like touch, feel, play with, I want you to do that. This, like I'll go through the points, but most of this is just to get you guys to be like, okay. So it does the things that does.
And this is on Fairness, right? This is on
No.
Fairness. It's not on Fairness to shop with you?
But the thing is, you can write a grant on DonorsChoose, and I guarantee you come September. Right now there's no match offers. There's like 2 match offers. There's one for PD, and there's one for team sports. Come September, there will be match offers again. And for people who aren't familiar with that, it means a company will match dollar for dollar. So for me, I got mine through Verizon. It was a tech grant. And the idea is, even if it says it's for math, it's for this, it's for that, it's for the study of bugs. So do a project on bugs, incorporate math, whatever it is. I even tell the reading teacher this. I got all of my teachers, all my first year teachers, I helped them all get a class set of tablets. And one was a reading teacher, and it had to be for math or science. So I said, then you're gonna do like a little math program, and you're gonna incorporate that. It's gonna be like multi-curriculum, interdisciplinary. I don't care, get tablets, because you'll use them, right? So then do it. When there's a match offer, whatever you want, you write it to get the match offer. So I've seen things about the study of bugs. I do not teach anything about bugs, but why couldn't I print out a replica and teach kids about it and then pair it off with like the science teacher and help them out, right? Because I can make anything with this, literally anything. So,
Instead of buying like animals for free, I teach animals to free.
Yeah.
I think for my dogs and stuff like that, instead of buying them from Lakeshore.
right. And the reality is that your principal, if you're not the tech teacher, is never going to say, here's $6,000, go get a 3D printer for your classroom. But you go on DonorsChoose and get whatever you want. And when you're talking writing, let's say like a $500-ish, $600-ish grant, and then you wait for a match offer, so you're really only talking 200 and something to 300 and something bucks, you'll have it, and it'll be there. And when you run out of filament, you'll write a part 2 of the grant, and all the people that donated, a lot of them do come back because you send thank you notes, and you, every time somebody donates, you write like a paragraph. You don't just say thank you, and then people come back, and it really does work. So
So the paragraph is like telling them exactly what you have done in the classroom.
I will pull my example up afterwards and show you guys, and I'll make it big. But 2 hours seems like a tremendous amount of time. Once we start doing this, it's gonna go by fast, which is why I created the presentation. The presentation is massive, and just to like click through, let's see what number we're on, so I can come back to, we're on slide 11. So let me just like fast forward and show you like how much is here for you guys. So besides every single model of everything that you could possibly get, which I put up here, so if you still prefer something else, you can still get something else. In addition, okay, so everything from this point on. Gonna go through not too fast, but just show you. Each one with a clickable link, not just a little picture. You can create things on there if you don't know how. They have tutorials, it's a lot of fun. You can start by just taking whatever you want, engraving your name into it, so that's cool.
That's where you can get your animals from.
Yeah, this is, it's called Hatchbox. This is the least expensive, best quality filament that I've had the pleasure of working with. I brought examples in of what cheap filament produces and what good filament produces, so you can see the difference. It's not even worth the difference. $15 versus $25, better to buy this stuff because it works.
What is it called?
Hatchbox. This is, you will have all this. This is a public, the first agenda that I ever did, probably like 4 years ago, is still online and still accessible. This is not going anywhere. This is a permanent archive. So I just went through, and each one is a clickable link that'll bring you right there. You're not going to use ABS, I still put it up there and put all the different links there. This is literally everything you would ever need. It's okay. So our printer, the one that we're looking at, the little nozzle, it's 1.75 millimeters thick. There's also one that's 2.85. It'll be listed as 3 millimeters. We're not using that, but in case you decide to get a different model, I still put all the links there. So literally, everything is here. Yeah?
The narrow filament, that make a clearer, more detailed copy.
It all is just a matter of, like the Volkswagen Mini used 3 millimeter. This one uses, it's just whatever the head is. I honestly don't think it makes a difference because I printed both. Good question though. So this is the surge protector that I like to use just because you have so much stuff going on, especially if you do it the way I did it. I have smart plugs plugged in, and I have a printer plugged into the smart plug. So I can say turn on green printer, and I'll have an Amazon Echo. What some people don't realize is that if you have an Amazon Echo in your house, and you have one at work, and you have one in Florida, and you have one wherever, and you say turn on living room lights, they go on. And the way that I discovered that was maybe like, I don't know, whatever the first year that Amazon Echo came out, I was homesick one day, and there's a sub in my room, and one of the kids said turn on whatever, and lights and stuff start going on in my house. I'm like, what's going on here? The kid's controlling my lights. So, they're 3D printing? Okay. So this, eventually, let's say that you have different smart plugs and whatnot, this just helps organize everything. One of these, and I literally, in my office, I have 4 different 3D printers. One of those is enough for everything to work. I put these up as well for pretty much all the mods and things that you're doing. Oh, good. That's why I'm closing the door myself. Alrighty. So for this, pretty much everything that you do uses different types of screws if you're creating mods. So here, everything's either a screw or a nut. So you can see how a nut would just fit in perfect over there. Because you have to figure how tight can this thing really be if it's just plastic. Well, there's a nut that goes into it. See that? Yeah. It's sensational, right? And this, you get the right kind of screw, the screws go right through there. It attaches right to the printer.
You made screw too?
Yeah. Well, no, you could, but that wouldn't be very practical. Yeah. The Z-brace.
Yes. What is the Z-brace for?
Good question. I'm shooting through things, but when I get to mods, I will go through step by step by step. I'm just trying to show you guys that there is such a wealth of information. If you clicked every link and read everything that was there, for days and days and days, you couldn't do it all. So, let me keep going through. And don't lose that, because I'm giving this out to somebody at the end, okay?
Yeah, the filament is real cheap.
All right, on the bottom, this can slide around really easy. So what I like to do is just buy different pieces of rubber, especially in the office. At home, I have a really solid table, so I don't have to worry about that. But in the office, it's a table like this. So I have rubber all underneath it, and it just firmly stays in place. This is all stuff on Amazon that's dirt cheap. I cover in the workshop and then also in the links that I give you guys different types of mods they can do, from taking this and having it be aluminum to being glass. This is all the materials for that. Thermal pads also for that modification. I'm going to go back now. Let's go back to the mods. Alright. So as you know, my recommended printer is the Monoprice Maker Select version 2. Basic mods. The 2 most important mods that you guys can print is this right here. These are called bed stabilizers. I'll pass these around so you can see them.
When you see mods, you mean parts.
Modifications, yep. Yeah, pass all that around. So what this does, if anybody wants to like come up and really see better, you have these little thumb wheels that are here. So when you level the bed, the MakerBot, the Ultimaker, it levels it automatically. The way that it always starts is the nozzle comes down, it goes to the origin point, home position, it scrubs itself, it cleans it, then it goes to the 4 quarters, it comes down, levels, next, goes down, levels, next, goes down, levels, next, etc. That process takes a few minutes every time. This you manually level. The problem is that as this is moving, doing what it's doing, it becomes unlevel. So the trick are these bed stabilizers. The bed stabilizers apply friction, which makes it so that it doesn't move and you don't have to re-level it as much. And even if you have to re-level it, it's a very, very slight re-leveling. It's not a whole process. Before you add these bed stabilizers on, the leveling process is a nightmare. So the issue is that you need a good printer to print this kind of stuff, but you have this printer. So what I did when I initially got my printer was I had the Low Spot Mini. I used the Low Spot Mini to build parts for this printer. Then when I got the other printers, I used 2 printers to build parts for the rest. So my idea and what I'd like to see the city do is, let's say I do a workshop in my school, you guys come, and you guys are 100%, you're signing up, you're getting this, print out an entire set of mods. You finish the workshop, you get your kit, and you have your official training, so you can install it. Then, what I did in District 75, this is like a little trial sample run, was I created a group, a team, a Microsoft group and a Microsoft team, which we all have access to because we're all 365, right? So you put somebody's name on the team and you can video call them. So let's say I'm on a prep and you have a question, you can actually take your computer and go like this and say, I don't know what's going on. And it can tell, well, it looks like that's a little clog over there and this is what you need to do. If we create a community, we can actually help each other and do this. And I'm always by a computer, so I'm very good at answering my email. I'll actually help you guys out. The session doesn't end after today. So, do you guys want to come and see the way this works? I'm going to undo one of these so that you can see it. It's, like I said, Impractical Suit right now. So basically the way this works and this works out, initially,
No, I'm saying you're different because you're
so initially, these aren't here. So what you actually have to do is, see how this piece pops in? And see how it's not even perfect, that's almost like crack? It doesn't matter. Just having these pieces locked in place. Yeah, so when you unscrew these, you can actually pop that in right there, in between the plate. Then you take the next one, you pop it on, hold it in place, and then you gotta screw it in. This is the absolute easiest mod to do, and then it holds in place. Prior to this, every time you print, you just can't imagine to pull your hair out. It's so frustrating having to level this thing. Every single time.
Like when you buy the machine, it doesn't come with any of these models.
No.
So then you can make them yourself or buy them.
But what you do, and I'll show you guys the different settings, is if you print slow and you print very detailed, you're talking about detail, you can actually specify how, if I want it to be, every layer is 1/10 of a millimeter, every layer is 0.25, 1/4 of a millimeter. I can specify that, and the thinner it is, the more detailed it will be and the longer it will take to print. I can also slow down the speed. So the first thing I ever print is these, and I'll print it Infill Density, 100%, which means it's completely solid. And I brought some pieces that I cracked open so you guys can see how it works. It's like a bridge, how a bridge is like that. That's what the inside of it looks like when you crack it open. Like those over there. If I cracked it open, it's 100%, then it's completely solid. If it's 10%, you're going to see a lot of air in between. So this, because it's such an important piece, the infill density would be 100%. Then I would make the print extremely slow and extremely detailed because it's the first print. Once I have a decent version of this, and it doesn't matter if it fails because you're talking like 5 cents of plastic, it's nothing. You do it again, and you finally get a good product, then you attach it. Your first mod is here. At that point, then you get to play with stuff. See this? This is a mod. Yeah. If I print in black, you can't even tell the difference. Right. So, I'll show you this just really ridiculous design.
You designed it yourself?
See this piece? This is the standard piece. Let me show you the problem with this piece, how nonsensical it is.
It doesn't come in.
Correct. Check this out. We'll zip this up too. Okay, ready?
It moves.
It's not even resting on it. It's too small. So my trick when you first get one of these printers, until you print out this piece. And by the way, I have a complete guide of these are all the models you should print. And also in the Facebook group, there's a woman who actually did this. I gave her homework. I said, first you print these things in this order, then you do these things. So it's all there. Like it's crazy how much information I put there. And continue to put as people ask questions. So here's my solution I came up with. Yeah, check this out. 1, 2. That's all. There were 2 screws here, so I unscrewed 1 screw and I put it on the side so that it can stay like this. Then, let's put it back. There's so many practical things. Then, what ends up happening is I'm hanging tools. I'm taking nails and putting them in my wall. And this is really dumb what I'm doing here. I gotta think of a better solution to see how that locks into place. Much more reasonable. So then, rip this guy out. Put this here, put it here, whatever. That's pretty basic.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure thing.
If you wanted to print like the class set, suppose I had maybe 10 or 15 kids wanted to print their project out. And I know we could put it on one board, so is it possible to put all their projects on one board and then print it out over a weekend span? Because it'll take a couple of hours.
Depends how big it is. If it's something big or it's something like, when we first teach kids how to 3D print, what I like to do is start off with keychains. Because they're basically just 2D images that are uplifted. And then, like, I don't want to do anything for them. I want them to learn how to do it. So then, don't teach them about structural supports, which I'll teach you guys about in a second, and have their project fail and not understand why it failed, but to see where it failed. So if the character's like this, and it printed fine up until here, then at this point it failed, why? And then they see because it drooped. And then it makes sense. Because the answer is the how and the why. You understand how and why something works, and you really get it. But them deriving that themselves is even more powerful than me just saying how to do it. So then I can make a creeper in Minecraft, which is like a block character, and I can put it on its side, and it's basically just a 3D printed 2D image that's uplifted. So why did this one work and that one didn't in the structural supports? And they get that. And then we gradually move on to something like the hand, starting with just the finger. But the cool thing about it is I even let third graders take all the pieces at the Intrepid with District 75 STEM Fair. And I'm answering questions and somebody's videotaping me. And they say, what are your students doing behind you? I'm like, what are they doing? They're building a hand. I put together a little instructional so that kids can come by. High school kids, they're building a hand. So you can really get kids, even little kids, involved in creating. So, this is, for me, this was number 1, like the must, the bed stabilizers. Then, I just thought it was really cool having all these. The kids thought it was really cool too. And there's like much more advanced versions. This right here is my little toolbox. I love this thing. So the kit comes with all the little screws you need. But check this out. It even has the place for the SD card slot and the micro SD card slot. Little scraper. Somebody designed this. And then, in case you're into acupuncture, this is for clogs. I honestly almost never use it. But this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what's practical and what works and the kind of stuff that you can just throw money away on. Because I've done it. I've thrown the money away. So you guys don't have to. So, yes, it's out there. Like, my goal with this is to expose you to everything and then to continue to supplement and give you resources, because if we had the entire day, we couldn't possibly, unless I had like one of these per every 4 people, and they were just lined up, which would work, I would have that. Which is why I would love to have people actually come to my work, take it from my office, put it into like a room like this, and that's what I'd like to see happen. But that's principal level and district level, which honestly I can see it happening. But right now, the goal is exposure and giving you all the resources, and then giving you a place where you can keep contacting. So pretend now you have your bed stabilizers. So now it's level, fantastic. You have all your little tool stuff because it looks cool mostly. You don't have clutter everywhere. Now your machine is the toolbox, which I like. And this is my own little idea. So this thing is really bright and it's just a couple of dollars at Home Depot. Even Amazon Basics sells this for just a couple of bucks, which is sensational. What I like to do,
What do you call it, floodlight?
it's I think they call it a work light. You often see it in construction sites. They just have these things everywhere because they're so cheap. But the one bulb, I don't want to blind anybody, but because of the reflector, it is just ridiculous. And funny little story, which I guarantee will happen to all of you if you buy it on Amazon. You cannot get one of these to come without dents. So I called them and I said, it's dented. And they said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll send more. I ended up with so many of these things and eventually said, we'll just give you a refund. I'm like, it's fine, I guess I'll just keep it. They refunds the whole thing and I probably have like 10 of these at work because they just always come dented. Even at Home Depot, you'll see them dented. So this is basically free. Amazon Basics, they sell lights on there too. That's the beauty of it. Amazon.
Fourth grade kit.
What's that?
Hardcore, fourth grade kit. They
perfect. So here's the other thing that I like to do. So this, imagine this is plugged into a smart plug, and then I give the smart plug a name. At work, I call it laboratory lights. So I have, just imagine 4 of these spread out, and then I have one of these over here. Each one, it's just one extension cord with all the different lights plugged in. So when I say turn on laboratory lights, all 4 lights turn on at the same time. And if I wanted to, I could have more. And it just boggles the kids' minds. And we're talking like a $30 Amazon Echo. And just, I put links here also. Smart plugs used to be about 30 to 50 bucks a piece. Today they're about $10 a piece. They're so cheap. So the thing is, I put everything on Amazon, even though you can buy a lot of the stuff at a place like Home Depot, because when you go on DonorsChoose, Amazon is one of the vendors. And Amazon also has business prices, so you get better prices than what's actually there. So every single link that I put, you can literally just copy and put that into your list. And if you write a grant for $500, every item that you need is there. And even if you don't feel comfortable printing something out or building something just yet, it doesn't matter. Just buy the stuff and have it on reserve. So that's the idea.
If you're getting stuff about your school at DonorsChoose, when you're getting stuff from DonorsChoose, because like in my school, you have to go into shop really, but if you get stuff from DonorsChoose and it's not an issue, because
Yeah, you can get anything. Yep.
because you're raising them on yourself.
Yep, exactly. So then here's the other thing I like to do. This plug. This whole machine only has 1 power cable. This light is separate. So for each individual printer, I have each individual printer plugged into a smart plug. Then what I like to do is have each printer be a different color. So this is green printer, and I have yellow printer, orange printer, blue printer, etc., pink printer, so on and so forth. So when I say turn on green printer turns on. At the same time, I'm remotely monitoring this from on my phone using a program called TeamViewer. So I can take a look at my computer connected to it, or I'm going to show you these options when we get to it, either through a computer, a webcam, or using an IP camera, which doesn't work as well on DOE network, but I'll show you guys the options anyway. It's still good to know all the options, you know? So let's say I see it's all messed up and it's failing. I can manually press the button because it's a smart plug, powers down. When I come in, I have a mess of spaghetti, but at least it didn't go the whole night and I didn't waste the material. Or if I'm home, I can say, Alexa, turn off your printer, and boom, off. So It always boggles the custodian's mind when they see all of a sudden printers messed up and it's off. Yeah, exactly. So, the Z-brace. Going back to our previous question. The Z-brace is the game changer. This is what turns the printer from a $300 printer into a few $1,000 printer. Basically what happens is you have a total. Yeah. You have one screw here, one screw here, one screw there, one screw there. It's a total of 4 screws that holds the Z-axis in place, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's the way that it's designed. So a lot of these higher end models, they have all this metal stuff going on. Some's for show, but most of it's to hold the Z-axis in place. And the idea is that if this is shaking when this is moving, if this becomes unlevel by even a fraction of a millimeter, your project is ruined. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're making a circle and it goes around like this and it slightly goes off, well, no, it's not printing right away, and your project is messed up. So basically, by having the Z-brace, one, I can drastically increase the speeds because it can handle the speed and it can handle the vibration. If you saw me printing that Iron Man piece and you just heard this scraping, it sounds like a jigsaw. It's not that loud, but it's basically doing the same kind of motion, and yet it handles it. This, just to give you an idea, so this is a piece of an arm. That piece goes there, the piece goes here, and the last piece goes there. This is what the structural support actually looks like. I kept this in place so that I could use it as an example. But it starts off on a mesh pattern and slowly builds itself up. So you can rip it off. I personally like to use needle nose pliers because you can I can't tell you how many slices I've gotten. It's like crazy. Your hands just be terrible. So use the needle nose pliers. Seriously, use the needle nose pliers.
And then you can sand it down afterwards.
Yep. Okay, the back. The back has cables everywhere. This actually broke on the way here. But like I said, fine, because I can print out more parts. It's kind of just the fun part of 3D printing. You always print out more of everything. It's more so just the frustration of time wasted. But then there comes a point where you have 4 of these things. When I had 1, I constantly used it. When I have 4, I'm like over it. Because I don't have to always be printing something. I mean, if I was doing Iron Man, I could print 4 pieces at the same time, and all of a sudden I have a whole arm. I mean, it took me a week to print an arm before. So at this point, I'm afraid if I constantly do it, I'm just going to burn through all the material. So this is another piece. What I like about it is this cable, and this cable, and this cable, it's just too messy. It really is. This keeps everything in place. What's that?
Wire management.
Yeah, and it's just phenomenal. 2 pieces, and I'm going to show you each one of these and how we do it. And then what I want people to do is learn how to level it. I'll intentionally unlevel it, re-level it. I noticed this piece broke on its way here, so I'll show you what happens when that happens. I assume many things would break. It's good that many things broke, because now I get to teach you guys about all the troubleshooting. But this, basically the way that it works is coordinate planes, X, Y axis. Center is 0, 0, right? Except here we have Z axis. So instead of being like this, it's like this. And it's 0, 0, 0, because you also have the Z axis. So this point right here is essentially 0, 0, 0. That's where it always goes to. It knows to go there. First, by going back, we should have heard a click. We didn't because of this. It should hit there. Then it goes back. There's different sensors, and as it hits the sensors, that's how it works. So, let's say that eventually you want to add a glass bed. Here's the problem, the glass bed raises this. And I can only turn these so much. So what I actually have to do is take the screws out on the side, here, because there's actually a little sensor over here that tells it this is home, and I have to actually raise it off. Or, ingeniously, I can build a little clip that goes here, so it just clicks it. Also, there's many solutions, and the beauty is that people have thought of all the solutions. Because it's such a widely purchased and owned machine, if you Google, everything comes up. But the beauty is that I've already created a list and put everything in categories so you can see it. So you don't even have to do that. So this is the next thing that I really like about this printer. That at first for me was a bit of a turnoff. So if I go on, I'll pull this up real quick so you can see what the software looks like. If I go to, so Ultimaker, these guys outside, they have a software called Cura, which is really good software. It's open source and it's free, which means it doesn't matter what you use, you're probably using the Cura software. Even Lulzbot, completely separate company, Lulzbot has their version of Cura. They've designed versions of Cura for every single type of 3D printer. When I show you all these settings, it'll make your head spin. But the beautiful thing is in the beginning, without even understanding what you're doing, you can just put the settings in that work. Then, as you understand what you're doing, then you can start modifying the settings. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning, so I just said, what settings work on Cura? Let me put that in. I have no idea what's going on. Now I know what the settings mean. So, let me try to click here. There's different profiles. So the material is PLA, and I've created by default, it gives you extra fine, low quality, draft quality, coarse quality, extra coarse, etc. I created my own models for what it is that I want to do. So I created one called Detailed Models, which I use for almost everything. Then I created one called Ultra. And Ultra is just, I want to make something really, really quick, which I would only use for a big object. Imagine a very small detailed object and it going like this really quick. It just ends up terrible with holes in it. It can rip off. Something big, once it's down and holding on, like something that's going to take up like this much space, depending on how detailed it is, like this, believe it or not, isn't that detailed. I could actually print this out in the Ultra setting, and something that should take 20 hours to print might only take 7. So it's all trial and error. But there might be imperfections, like that's not supposed to be there. So that's why the soldering iron. Take a little piece of this, rip it off, melt it, and it's good. See the inside of my Iron Man helmet? Looks terrible. Doesn't matter though when I'm wearing it. All the connections are on the inside. This is my first attempt at something like this, so it has some mess ups on the outside too. So I have to add it in.
Fits on you?
What's that?
Fits on you?
Oh yeah. It's gonna be on the hair. That's it.
Wow. The Iron Man.
You like that?
Yeah.
We turn this way. That's amazing. That's really amazing.
I'm not even wearing the Kamer. Yeah, the kids go crazy for that. And the big issue was, how do I make it stay up here? Magnets. Magnets behind here. Magnets here. The other thing I did is I put magnets on the inside back here and a little echo dot. It's not in here now because it adds some weight to it. And for the sake of today, I didn't want weight. If I put that in there, I take a little earpiece and put it here and I connect it to the Wi-Fi. Any question you can ask Echo. When this is closed, this is an echo chamber. So even if I whisper, it's like I'm shouting. If I have it directly connected in, I really can whisper because I have a microphone here. So if I were to say, what's a million divided by 2 times 6, give you the answer. How do you do it? It's that echo in my brain. It's like having real Jarvis. But the idea is, this is the kind of stuff you can tinker with and you can do. And imagine the way that I'm going to raffle these things off at the end. making some really cool stuff and then raffling it off and letting a kid take it home.
But they get printed separately, right?
Yeah, it's like this is one piece, and for a long time I was holding on to this thing. It looked like I don't even know what it looks like, not quite a brain. But as big as this is, it had this massive piece of yellow because the face had to stick on it, the mask had to sit on it. Each one of these, this is why I brought a piece so you could see it. You can see this had all the different structural supports in it. And somebody pulled the power out by accident, so we stopped right there. So I said this would be a really good piece to bring in. You can see these are parts that were here. Oh yeah. All Thingiverse. That's beautiful. That's it. Then we'll go over, because I know we have a mixture of people. Some people know all about 3D printing, some people have zero idea. So I will show things, just to show you, like, this is a Brim, this is a structural support, etc. People who know what I'm talking about, sorry, I just gotta do some stuff to teach people who don't know. But the fun thing is gonna be specifically this model, how to mod it, where to find everything, and actually learning how to do this. Because the biggest thing is leveling. Right. When you get this, I don't know how many hours I spent trying to level this. I just didn't get it. And the videos that I saw and the stupid things that I saw online about how to do it, until you take this piece of paper and you put it underneath and you feel what it feels like when it's level, you can't be taught that. Thankfully, you can come up and actually feel what it feels like and do it. And we can intentionally start something, start the first layer, see that it's printing right, abort the print, scrape it off, have somebody else try and just see that it's working. If you do this today, if that's all you do, you walk away today and you level the printer and you want a 3D printer, that's literally the most complex thing about this printer, I promise you.
I experienced that once.
It's frustrating, right? But when you do it a few times, it's really not. And anything that goes wrong, you learn what the things are that could go wrong. But this is the ultimate frustration, unless you have somebody show you how to do it. Yeah?
You know it's level.
You know it's level when you put it underneath and you feel a little bit of friction, but you can still go like this in all four corners. And then you home all, so everything goes home, and you still move it around, and it's still like that, it's level. The beautiful thing is once it's level, when it's done, you just really quickly check to see if it needs to be re-leveled. And oftentimes, you just need to slightly adjust it. So the beautiful thing is that Ultimaker, MakerBot, WellSpot, their automated process always takes a few minutes to level the bed. And it drives me crazy because it's just wasted time. Waiting for it to preheat and waiting for it to level. By the time it's actually printing anything, you could have wasted 10 to 15 minutes. Whereas this, what I like to do is I start the preheating of the PLA while I'm leveling it. As soon as it's leveled, it's already preheated, and I start my print. So if it takes me 30 seconds to a minute to fully level it, it's basically done already. I can just start the process. This, when you know what you're doing, is actually faster. The other, yeah?
You have to level it every time you're going to print something.
Not every time, but you'll check. Like today, 100% we'll have to level it because this is a different surface and it bumped around. But once it's set, like I'll intentionally play with it so it won't be level. I'm also curious to see how damaged this piece is because that could be really annoying down here clicking it all. It should be making, I feel like even from back here, if I click this, you'll probably be able to hear it. I'll show you that in a sec. So, what you see up here, one thing that I really liked about WellSpot and the other companies was that you plug the computer in and you control the printer through the computer. You can see the progress. You can see everything on the screen. So I thought that was really cool. And basically, if I can remotely control my computer through any remote control software, free stuff like TeamViewer, then essentially I can control this printer from anywhere in the world as long as I have internet access. So that seems pretty good, right? The problem is that in reality, when you first start printing something, you want to be there to watch it. Stuff can go wrong. And when it does go wrong, oftentimes you can fix it. Or you can't. And when you can't, you know to abort it. It's just, it sounds good to have control of the computer, but you can't really change anything. All you can do is really cancel it. So when I realized that, I realized this is real flashy, but I can put all the settings in. I can save it to the little micro SD card, put it in here. And the advantage of that is if I have 4 printers with other companies, I actually need 4 computers. I need to actually plug it in. That's not so great. I mean, then in addition to this, I need computers. So now I just increased the cost by another $1,000 a printer. That's not very practical. Here, yeah, this might be super basic, but super basic is actually really good because all the settings that you need, you learn very quickly. If you guys want to, I wish there was a way that I could make this big so you can see it, but if you want to come see this little thing over here, anybody want to come see the box? Because this box is very important. Yeah. We have good waves of people. This does everything. Put it in time. Yeah. So, that was smart. So you have quick settings, print file. I'm only going to say the ones that you're realistically ever going to use. Because there's a lot of stuff that you're just not going to use. I've been doing this for a while. Quick settings, you'll use. I'll show you that in a second. Print file, you'll definitely use. Position, yeah. Extruder, honestly, no. Band speed, no. SD card, yes. Debugging, no. Configuration, no. That's it. So really, SD card, position, print file, and quick settings. And honestly, even print file, you may not use because SD card does the same thing. So I'd say there's 3 categories: quick settings, position, and SD card. So here's what happens. If I go to SD card, I'm going to unmount it. If I take this and I put it in an SD card, which over here I have one for anyone not familiar, this right here, in any modern computer, by modern I mean like last like 5 to 10 years, probably has an SD card slot. It comes with this. So I put this in here, I create the file, save to removable drive, so it saves it to here. I just leave this in here so I don't lose it. Even though at work, I also have my little toolbox, like this. See how these can all just pop in here? And I got this here too. Goes in upside down. Yep. It goes in. I click it, selects up and down. It's like really basic. It's like a car. Remember cars with a little turn dial? I've never tried one. I have. It does seem like that. That's exactly what it looks like. You're right.
So like on the SD card, you have a file that was created from some website.
From here.
Okay.
I'll show you that in a sec. So see SD card? Okay. Mount card. Print file. So this right here, this is what I was making you guys. So one set of those bed stabilizers, 26 minutes. 2 sets, 56 minutes. 3 sets, an hour and 20 minutes. Old is other stuff. This is all just stuff that I made before. And I just neatly have it organized in here.
So you can choose the file from everything that's in there. Okay, gotcha.
And what I like to do to keep things organized is I'll always start and I'll say how many hours it is. Because the nice thing about the software for those other expensive printers is that you can see how much time's left. This thing will say 56%, but what's 56%? If I put down that it was 12 hours, I know the time that I roughly started, I have an idea. And 56%, I think I'll give it over 6 hours right now. So when I do the file, and I can name it whatever I want, I'll say 20 hours Z-brace plus scan tree. gantries these. So that whole set there took about 20 hours to print. To give you an idea. That's a pretty good price for anyone who's interested in getting one of these. And then if I have student projects, like,
They're all under the SD card.
yeah,
You can connect this one directly to the computer.
no. I just, exactly. The SD. Here's the thing, it's supposed to work like that, but I find it buggy. So the reality is that I kept trying to do that, and then ultimately I realized the micro SD HD card is better because then I don't need a computer. And if you have one, fine, that's good. But my issue was, let's say that I'm teaching a class and I have this thing in my office, because it is dangerous just to be out where anybody can come up and walk up to it and touch it, right? So in my office, I actually have all these. But then, what I do is I have a camera, so I can remotely connect the camera and show students what's printing. But by having an IP camera, I eliminate the need to have a computer altogether. Like an IP address camera. So it's just a camera that sits there. But if I wanted to, I could also have a computer like this, and I could have it sitting there. So if I were to, what is that?
The next workshop.
Let's see the time of this, because I want people to take this stuff. Okay, we're good. Okay. So,
It's like spinning, what does that mean?
yeah. What I want you guys to see also is, see that? See how it's cracked? The fan blades. So another tip, at some point when you're working with this, there's going to be a clog. When there's a clog, you have to take this apart and remove it. Stupidly, I did not take that off first. When this slightly punched it, cracked. So the hum that you hear when this is really going is from the fan. This is a nothing fix, but I don't see a need to fix it right now just because. But everything that seems complicated is really not. See that? Yep. Undone. Oh, they're cheap.
These are all in your office, but then you have camera set up so that in the classroom the kids can see. Because otherwise you don't have them right there.
Yeah.
I know,
But what I can do is I could also start the process and I can bring the kids to my office to see what's going on. And also a lot of times you have a cluster teacher, either A, they have a lab or they don't and they push in. Oftentimes I'll push in. So if I push in, it's not practical. Like how would I move a 3D, right? So this is what I do. And it works. And honestly, I like the idea more anyway because it's just completely that safety factor. You don't have to worry about it.
you have like 6 of them in your office, like.
4. And I have 2 at home. Yep.
And then the kids must be, I mean, they must go crazy, love this swap.
Yeah. What I'll do afterwards is I'll connect to, because I don't have the office wired right now, but I have my house wired, and I'll connect to it, and you guys will be able to see the 2 different printers. And the beautiful thing about the IP cameras is that they're infrared. So even when it's pitch black, you can still see it in black and white. Yeah. But then if I wanted to, if I had my Echo set up here, I could use my phone and it's like I turn on Monoprice lights. So at home, that does something. At work, I would say turn on the laboratory lights. So you guys can get an idea of this. So real quick, this is scraping, which is not good. I feel like what's going to happen just from when I tried this before we came here, this is it hitting properly. That sounds good. Did you hear that click?
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to do. So it got a little bent. I just bent it back into place. When this was going back before, let's see if it clicks or not. We'll find out right now. So, quick settings. See home all. This puts it back to the origin point. Is this only a jackhammer? Jackhammer. Not in. The piece got bent with the sensor. So, real quick. I can't move this right now. The reason is, it's called the stepper. Steppers are holds it in place. If I scroll down to disable stepper, and now move it. Real quick, I'm gonna go back to position, Z. The trick is fast. Z fast. Let's tell you how many millimeters to move up. I can't really get in there and see what's going on, but if I raise it up, this is all the stuff that would be automated on the other printer. But the deal is, when you see how inexpensive all these parts are, how easy it is to do upgrades, and you're talking about one printer, I mean, if you spend like $100, I don't think I've spent more than $50 on any of these printers, like, at all.
Yeah,
What's that?
Here's the thing, though, DonorsChoose wants to go for the real.
It's hard. And you know what it is also? When I had that one printer that was $1,500, the fact that I could get these at $300 a pop, when I had one printer, everybody fought over the printer. Now that I have 4 work, honestly, I've had more than 4. Just like 4 is crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot to manage 4 different printers at the same time, especially when you're talking about just during your preps, just during your lunch, just during whatever. It became like to the point of being obnoxious. I would want more printers. If I got another printer at this point, maybe I'd have like one luxury model. But before I ever did that, I would buy the best one that Monoprice sells and play with it, because it's supposed to be like the other ones and have all the features. And worst comes to worst, especially if I bought it on Amazon, I could just return it within 30 days and then have the money to free it up and use it for something else. And worst comes to worst, I just liquidate all the money and just buy a whole bunch of filament or other parts, whatever I need. So, for me, the answer is that I'd rather have a bunch, and they don't break. This broke because I carried it in a suitcase and dragged it through the city and threw it like every single bump. I mean, it's terrible, the condition I put this in. This thing, if it just sat, which is what it's gonna do, I mean, this is a little piece of...
It seems like with this, like you really learn how to actually like put it together. With the other ones that are like more luxury, would you not know how to do that?
You literally aren't learning anything. Like, what I mean by that is, let's say I took this guy here, right? If I were to take this file, and if I were to put it in this software, this is the same software that you'd be using regardless of which printer you use. So knowing how to use it on here, if you've used a different printer, you already know how to do that. The difference is that when I tell it to print, with the Ultimaker, it just prints it out. And all the pieces are just perfect. Which is great.
So each piece is unique.
Yeah, this is a piece, this is a piece, this is a
And
piece.
then you choose the color.
Or print out exactly the same.
It will, well, here's the thing. If I know what I'm doing, it'll print out the same. But what I like about this is that if I can get the same result,
And it's cheap,
I mean, $6,000 I could buy 20 of these printers. That's insane. That's like enough printers for a district.
And then you have to figure out how to put it together.
Yeah, but that's separate. I mean, that you're gonna have to do regardless, this kind of thing. But when you realize that, as far as what can go wrong, so as far as what could actually really go wrong, leveling, you learn how to level. Okay, so that's taken care of. Check. One day you want to upgrade this to glass, which I tried, and honestly, wasn't as great as everybody said it was, so I just put it back to where it was. But then, these 2 screws on the side, because this is the Z axis, so the glass is like that. Take these screws out and slightly put it up.
What's the glass, so great about the glass, or what's it supposed to be?
Okay, what it's supposed to be is that when you flip it over, see all this like schmutz or whatever that's on there, right? It's glass. And you spray it with hairspray, the bottom will be perfectly smooth. But I find that it doesn't adhere as well. So, just generally speaking, I like to use hairspray regardless, and I'll show you some strategies with that too. I just really don't like this got damaged and see what happens, because if it doesn't level properly, that'll be an issue. But let's try it out and see what happens.
We've heard of people making jewelry with these, and like, could you make furniture?
If I were making furniture, like different pieces, I would definitely use ABS or 100% Infill at very high levels of Infill. So this, I think uses 30%. I can't remember. I mean, I can feel that it's not solid, but
They're all forms of plastic.
yeah. Well, ABS is just what's that?
Is this the film, what is it, like melts and then?
Yep, it liquefies as it passes through the extruder. The extruder is the piece here, and then the nozzle underneath is called a hunter. So as it goes through there, that's where it liquefies. But you can see here, this is what actually looks like on the inside when you crack it open. So this is the infill percentage. So when you're printing these, you print them at 100% infill, because look at how thin it is. Can you imagine if you had little pockets of air in between here? They'd crumble in your hands. But when you make bigger things, especially, I have a few different models that I made. I made Spider-Man. I just want to know what that's supposed to be. It's all or not.
Who is that? That voice just like, it's so.
Yeah, if she's real, I want her to do voiceovers for me. So, like, I have a Spider-Man that I made, and that's almost entirely hollow on the inside, because why does it matter? It's going to sit on the shelf and look cool. But pieces like this have about 30% density because I need them to be able to take a little bit of a punch if they get hit.
30 is strong.
Yeah, 20. I'd say like 20% is average, but usually something like this is about 20 to 30.
That's with the key.
Everything I do is PLA. No
The other
ABS.
one smells and it's like kind of toxic.
I wouldn't even want to do it in my house, honestly. Yeah, honestly, I don't want my house to smell like that. If you, I had to these glasses broke, so I took my soldering iron to fix it. You melt glasses with eyes. You can't imagine the burning sensation and how bad it's just terrible. And if you try to mix different types of plastic, it doesn't work so well also.
With the soldering on this, it's fine though.
Yeah, and we'll do it. Anybody who's brave enough, we'll take the soldering iron out and let you melt some stuff.
I mean, how old is this technology now? With like how long now have these printers been around? It's been a little while. It's more than 5 years.
Probably like this is me guessing, but I'd say like easily over 10, probably even older than that. What's interesting is the fact that they can build something for $300 that can be so good. And if you look at Amazon reviews and anybody's rating it 3 stars or less, it's because they didn't mod it. If you mod it, it's a 5-star product. And we're talking easy stuff. I mean, the bed stabilization like these, if I have this thing printing and it takes about 20 minutes to print the whole complete set. So even if your printer real slow, it took twice that amount of time, 40 something minutes. And even if you failed it a couple of times until you got the pieces, even if you sat there printing one of those little triangles at a time, when that's done, this will print better. Then, honestly, it took me time before I did the Z-brace because I knew that it was going to be a headache. I knew that I was going to have to take nuts. I knew that I was going to have to cut this in half. And I did it on my own. The second time I did that, the shop teacher did it. And then he likes Batman, so I made him a Batman helmet and we traded. So, oh yeah, it's pretty sick.
So, what about designing things? Do you find things like they're already designed? How do you create your own?
You can do both. That is one of the links I gave later called Tinkercad. So when you first start designing things, what's fun is to take something made already and you can modify it. Even just to engrave your name into it, things like that.
So you use Tinkercad with the kids then?
Yeah. Yeah. But to show people how this works, I just really don't like that gets damaged, because when I press here, I want to see if I can bend it so close. So it's there. Let's try it out. Okay.
So that little piece right there, that you're going to expend it, stops it from going any further, is that what it is?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what happens is, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, this is the z-axis. So when it hits this, it knows that it's at the origin point. When it hits the one up here, it knows that it's at the origin point. When it's the one down there, it knows it's at the x origin point. So essentially, it's getting it all to line up here and to line up just right. So if that breaks, it can be fixed. It's just, that's something that would require a magnifying glass and me sitting there fixing. And that's not worth wasting their time. I want to just get this to the point where people can try to level it, but we try to make some bed stabilizers. That'd be pretty cool before we go. Snap it, printing out, so nice to see it.
Seems so valuable.
Yeah.
I'm like new to the school technology.
The beauty is, I will show you guys a link afterwards. There's a few beauty sites. There's a Facebook group, there's Google Plus groups, there's a general wiki website that just has links to everything. There's YouTube channels. I mean, I looked at a lot of different versions. And the beautiful thing about this is it's an open source model. So the i3 duplicator is really what it is. It's made by a company called Wanhao, Chinese company. And then you have Monoprice. I'm trying to think of all the different names. There's a lot. It goes by the Cocoon. So different countries. No problem. Different countries and different places, they make the exact same product. So literally thousands upon thousands of people own this product, and the videos and the resources are just endless. There are other models that you can go with, but I honestly wouldn't want to because of the resources that are here. I can post a video on Facebook, I'm not even exaggerating, and I can say I'm having this problem, and post it to the Facebook group, and if I count to 5, within 5 seconds, multiple people have responded. I can post something on the NYCSchoolsTech group and wait. People will respond, and I'll get all the answers I need. People are super helpful. By the time I post that video, it will be viewed hundreds of times. Like the next day, 1,000 people could have viewed the video. There's a lot of people that are in this group, and like 30 people will respond, and they'll start arguing. No, it's this. No, it's that. I think this. This is my philosophy. Yeah, but this is my proven philosophy. And like that's the level of engagement. You know what? There's a ton of teachers that are on it. I mean,
I've printed a lot of stuff. You know, like every fossil ever discovered, there's like a 3D printable file available of it. So you can print those.
That's awesome.
You can get like other 3D like files and then convert them into printable files and print those. So I printed a lot of skulls last semester. I printed a lot of DNA models. Like they're things like you just. Yeah, I printed them all in like green and then we spray painted them, so they'd be different, like the AD and the back one, the AT.
Right, it's one color at a time, right? You can't do
But the one that I use.
you can do it whenever.
There's some I think that have not.
I mean, I'm an art teacher, so like, I was just thinking.
that would be really cool.
Sculpture,
Oh yeah.
jewelry, all sorts of things.
Well, what I'll even do is, let's say I make Spider-Man in red, and I'll take a black Sharpie and I'll outline all the web, and I'll take white out and I'll do his eyes. And if people are like, you printed in 3 colors, it looks so legit. Like, it really is. And the way that you can decorate the things that kids can make, and just taking the ownership. Yeah.
You showed the link for all your stuff exactly earlier.
Oh,
Said
sure.
all this you can make it all available.
I think that would find the URL.
I would suggest going to a maker fair,
Here, I'll
which
show you.
is coming this fall, and you can see a lot of examples
now
of
it's
people
embarrassing.
make
I
parts
sit
of the
around at the
technology.
time. Have my kids
People
make
even
little
print
houses.
No, it's a
That's
Citywide.
sensational.
Well,
It's a city.
It's like a
It's
city.
Yeah, but that's still sensational.
Science
everything
Queens,
So
but it's
that's
a
gotta be
just
part of
research
writing
maker
the
fair,
different
NYC, and
Or that can you make it big?
Yeah, I'm not making it big. One sec. Sorry, I just want to
no,
be
it's
able to
really
take a
great,
picture.
and you just go
You
to
take a
it's your kind
picture.
of technology.
I made it easy. tinyurl.com/Kamer 3D printing.
Is it capital count?
What's that?
Capital count?
Say that again?
Uppercase letters.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. If you go to that agenda, it has the whole presentation, it has the whole agenda, and also, like I said, if you go on the Facebook group, and the Facebook group is NYCSchoolsTech, which is what the whole summit is, NYCSchoolsTech Summit, right? So if you put that in, it's also fun because you're gonna see probably pictures of you later. People take pictures, they post it. That's always a really fun thing. Amy was here before, the photographer. She took pictures. Maybe she'll have some pictures of us. Hopefully these videos weren't crappy and I can edit and put it up. You'll see yourselves like, hey, cool, that was me. I was in that workshop. That's fun. So it's good to be part of this community. I'll leave that up, but real quick, who wants to try to set this up? Anybody? If it does the jackhammer sound, it's not your fault. That's because it got damaged.
It's like the
Yeah?
technology, it's like the pros, like there's like the evil side of it and the good side, because then like I heard years back about people making like
1 sec. Wait.
guns or something, like.
Wait,
there's,
say
like,
that again?
They're just saying like anything, there's like the pros and the cons, like being used for good or evil.
Right, but it's like having a computer and not having your kids look at porn or search for porn,
Yeah.
right? You're not letting them do that in class, you're the teacher, you're the supervisor, so that doesn't happen. And
But I'm sure they always say that.
They're sure, I'm saying, they're sure as hell not printing guns in class, especially when things take 10 plus hours to print. So nobody's secretly doing any of that. So, Jordan, that's it, it's okay. Dennis?
Right.
Good to have these.
About the, what about like taking something, making a little sculpture out of clay? Now, can this thing print that? Or you have to take a picture of that and put it on the...
Well, this is what's really interesting.
Oh, now it seems like you're saying they do it with their program, files and stuff.
Here's what's interesting. I'll show you afterwards. This is something I haven't done yet. There are things on here, like, beyond mind blowing. There's a scanner between parts and everything's like $30. And basically what it does, like a lazy Susan, it rotates it around. It just takes lots of pictures from every angle and it recreates the image into a 3D image. So if you see how many parts it is, it's intimidating, which is why I personally haven't done it. But this thing does have the potential when you look at what you could build. Yeah, if you have the time.
What is the, where is the, sorry, you're talking, where do you haven't made it?
No,
is
but
it
I'll show you the
there?
link. It's a thing of wrestling.
I don't know if that place is still there, but it's like down in like sort of East Village. It was Maker Bot store or something. I went there like when it first opened up, and actually they made a little head, my head like a little tiny. So they took a picture of me like around, I guess.
There's actually a website. I don't know if I linked to it. It's a Google search. Some engineering students figured it out. And basically what it does, it can take your picture, take your face, and actually print your face.
Yes, yes.
So there's a free piece of software that can actually do that.
Oh, that's
so if you wanted to, you could play around with that.
Like a mask, sort of.
Basically, I mean, you can blow it up as big as you want, but it's crazy how good it is. Just want to time check quick, so I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to try stuff. I want to try this out now. So press the button, and now scroll down to quick settings. Press the button again, and scroll down to home all. And okay, it's probably going to do the jackhammer thing. All I care about, even if it does that, if it's annoying, is it really leveling it. I apologize for that. It basically needs to be bent back into place. And the thing is, if I bend it wrong, I could break it. I don't want to break it, so we'll just deal with it. Because even though it's being annoying like that, it still seems to be leveling it. It just seems like it keeps going until it hits it right.
So it's about to start.
It's going. What we're doing is we're getting to the home point. Then when it's in the home point, what we want to do is in each of the four corners, or really anywhere, be able to slide this underneath and feel a little bit of resistance. Like when I go like this, I can feel a little resistance. If I go like this, I can't move it. Okay, so now, I'm going to try to move it. Yeah, on purpose. So, press it again. Yep. Quick settings. Scroll all the way down to disable stepper. Now try to move it. It's like King Arthur's sword. It won't hurt you.
It's moving.
And you can hear it scratching. So if I take this, and each one of these comes with this, I like this piece of paper. It's a good piece of paper. It really is. I've tried so many things to level, and this piece of paper it comes with, I swear, I've never even read the piece of paper, and I use this piece of paper every day. And it's just a really good leveling tool. So what I like to do, obviously that's not working. So if I turn this, now, too much. Actually, before that, I want to show you one more thing. This is what I like to do. So it's going to have some extra filament on it, and it's going to be solidified. So what I like to do, this thing is, you can take a bit of a beating. You have to be so gentle with it. At the same time you break something, all these parts are all on Amazon, just buy another part. And there's a guide. So the fan broke, okay, unscrew this, unplug it, plug the new one in. And this thing right here, that's the fan. It's 2 screws, it pops out. I can buy another fan and just pop it on. And honestly, anything that you buy is going to be an upgrade anyway, so if something breaks, it's kind of a blessing. Okay. This is what I like to do. Anything that's on it isn't going to be on it anymore. Now the reason that I do that is because if I want to level it, and there's like this much filament on it, I'm basically leveling it with filament, and then when it heats up to 200 or so degrees, and that stuff comes off, it's not leveled anymore. So I scrape that off. Theoretically, I could heat it up, I could do this, it doesn't matter, and it's not breaking it. And honestly, those nozzles are like $1 a piece, and I've never had to replace one. It's like a year or so.
Jordan, is there a recommended temperature to print?
This I do, it could be like say anywhere from about 190 to 210-ish.
Okay.
I do it at 205. But this is all here, and then also not only is it all here, but that Facebook group, anytime anything with Amazon Echo, Smart Home is mentioned, Lisa's like, Jordan, answer this question because I presented on it. This is going to be my curse of having presented on 3D printing. When people see 3D printing stuff, they'll often say, hey Jordan, look at this, answer this question. Now it's going to be obligatory. So if you have a question and you say, you know how you can like tag somebody's name, you start typing their name, start typing Jordan, then it becomes Jordan Kamer, I get pinged, I'm on it. So realistically, any question you could possibly have like that, also you make a video, you can cross post it, you can put it in the NYC Schools group, you can put it in the other Facebook group, I'm going to link you guys too. If you spend enough time with this, I guarantee people in this room will know more than I do, because this is something you can easily get obsessed over. I mean, that Iron Man helmet, that was an obsessive project for like a good month or so. Documenting it, tagging Robert Downey Jr., being frustrated that Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't respond to me, trying to tag Colbert, DonorsChoose. Spawn, it's for the kids. Okay, so this, the reason I like to be down here is I can see, yeah, it's sliding under, but this is bouncing up and down. I'm forcing it under. That's not good. But I can mistake the feeling because it's going under, but I'm really pushing it. So, now it doesn't go at all. And I can see that it's like that much up. So now what I do is I'm going like this. I don't even have to look. I can feel it. See that? Slightly more. That is good. Here, even just hearing scrape sound is not good. Do the same thing. So, make it go up a little bit, we can go like that. Same deal. It's not hard.
So you have to do that to all four corners?
And then what I'll do is I'll do home all again. But when this is done, at any point I can go like this and it should slide under. And now it's not. I haven't done all four corners yet, so this still goes underneath real easy. Theoretically, when it's leveled in all four corners, I can feel that friction. That is when it's set. Here, see how I'm like trying to force it and just won't go? I want to do this and then start showing like printing something. Then when you see that like it's actually printing, I'll cancel the print. I want to show you the process and what I do because there's more involved in making sure that the print doesn't fail. But once first layer goes, and this is true with all 3D printers, the first layer is the foundation. It's like your shoes. Somebody kicks your feet out from underneath you, you fall down. So as long as that first layer is good, it should be okay. As long as it really adheres, it really sticks to it, it should be okay. So there's tricks to make that happen. And I want to show you that process. See it begin, like watch it for a couple of minutes while we talk about other stuff and just have it going. And then I'll cancel it, I'll rip it off, and then you guys can try stuff. And you can also see when it's hot that isn't going to hurt. This is hotter because it's actually heating from underneath here. There's like little sensors. If you were to flip it over, there's all this circuitry under there. But still, the only thing that's really going to hurt you is that hot. And realistically, when it's down here, yeah, I really have to try to burn myself. There are ways of burning yourself, but it is an effort. Something I was concerned with when I got this printer was the big name ones, they have an extruder here. So you go like this, and when you go like this, depending on the way you do it, it either extrudes, where it comes out, or retracts, where it goes back up. Here, retraction, when it's hot enough, is literally as simple as pushing this down. I can't pull this up, it's solid. If that was hot right now, I could go like this and it'd come right up and be melted. If I wanted it to extrude, I literally just push, and it would just drip out like liquefied cheese, to quote Salvador Dali. His persistence of memory painting. That was from the art teacher. Let's just get this going. And then the thing is, things will happen, unexplainable things. Something will fail. You'll be like, why did that fail? Sometimes things just happen. Okay, so now, somebody else want to try to level it? Well, not level it, home all. And then hear the jackhammer again. Anybody want to try it? Home all? You'll see, like, this is, like, at first I was kind of like, this is like an old car, I don't like it. It's very easy. So you did, okay, quick settings. Press. Home all. Press. Easy, right? Wait for it, the horrible sound. I would be so happy if I just did it right and I didn't happen. I'd be so happy.
So now it hit it, now it picked this up, right?
Yeah. The issue is that it needs to be bent the right way. And it will be bent the right way when I get home. But honestly, at this point, since I have to get it home, it's probably just going to happen again. Not even going to deal with it. So, disable stepper. Now we see if it really is leveled or not. That still feels good. That doesn't. So, see, the problem is when that's hitting with your jackhammer, it can slightly dislodge. The other thing that I've noticed is that bigger prints, bigger single prints tend to work a lot better because you have one big thing sticking down. That sound that you hear right now is where I broke the fan, by the way. But since it hasn't overheated and there haven't been issues, I just haven't replaced it. If I had a single printer, every time something went wrong, I'd probably replace it. But here, I'm doing it as I actually need to. Here we go. And this time we'll try to actually print something out. Okay. Next, quick settings. They're going to choose Preheat PLA. Very good. So now, if I go to the back, you can see this is preheating 215 degrees. The nozzle, the hot end. You'll learn all the vocabulary as you use it. I sounded like an idiot in these YouTube videos that I made, these Facebook videos. They're like, I think it's this, I think it's that. Nope, it's not that, it's this. Nope, sound like an idiot. Whatever, 3D printing, it's cool. Learn from me, learn with me. Just like a mess. So this will get to 215 degrees. This will be 60 degrees. It's always in Celsius. When the hot end, the nozzle, gets to about 180 or so degrees, that's when it's hot enough that we can just pull that out. Before that, if you physically tried to pull it out, even with a pair of needle nose pliers, it just wouldn't work. If it did work, you'd destroy the machine. So you'll see. I'll let somebody just... And then we'll feed this in.
Why does this also heat up?
It heats up. It's actually not as necessary for PLA. For ABS it is, but it helps it stick. Just basically imagine that this is on here. Yeah, exactly. But another setting, and I'll show you guys some of these settings. One that I like is called the Brim. See how there's that layer that goes around? See that layer? All the way around? So here, at one point, this is a Brim that goes around it. I can peel that away, but it helps it stick down. What I'll do, it's okay. So what I'll do is, let's say that I'm printing a whole bunch of kids' keychains and I don't want to risk it messing up. If I was doing one, I probably wouldn't even bother with the brim. But what I'll do is, I will actually have each one of their keychains here, and I'll have the brim attached. So this one is close enough to here, and that one's close enough there, and this one's close enough to there. So what happens is each individual keychain is actually attached to the other keychain. So the likelihood of one thing being ripped off goes down to nothing. Great example of that are these giveaways that I'm going to give you guys later. But these, if I had a brim around here, I'd have to peel it away. So sometimes you have to choose what logically makes sense and what doesn't. If I were to have these all over the place, the brim would ensure that the print's going to work well. But who wants to peel this away? So here, just instead print things slower to reduce the risk. So, see how I still can't pull it out? Who wants to press here and pull? Anybody? Okay, so press here and pull. It should come right out. And it can. Round of applause. It's amazing, right? How did she do it? Okay, so that is great. Now, let's take this guy. So, if I had a piece here, pretend this was all liquefied and gross. Scissors? Cover your eyes. No one's blind, right? Good. So now it's good. Press. It should go in. If it doesn't, that means that there's a clog. So, feel around. It should go in. And I almost hope that it doesn't go in, because if it doesn't go in, then I have something new to teach you. But it looks like it's going to go. Oh, I hope there's a clog. I think we might have gotten lucky. There might be a clog. Fantastic. Good. I was hoping all the jiggling around would cause problems. We got a problem. Check this out. Everything that's happening right now, within a year of using it, I've experienced all these problems. So this is very good. Because one day you'll just be like, oh my God, it doesn't work, and you'll freak out and you'll have no idea what to do. You're getting to see some of these things. If that's like a jackhammer, it's this piece. Make sure that when it pushes back, it's just a matter of bending it the right way. That's it. Even if it came off, you could still adjust it. That's just you sitting down there. Maybe 30 minutes, you'll be annoyed, then you'll fix it. Leveling it, that's just us.
And it would always make that sound.
Yes.
That hammer
If you hear that jackhammer sound, 100% that's what it is. Also, sometimes you will see one side raises, one side doesn't. That, as I learned the hard way, see these connections in the back? One of those connections got pulled out, so it doesn't have power. That's why one side's raising, one side isn't. There's like a lot of stupid stuff that could happen that's really easy. You can even have an overheating issue where somehow one of these disconnected because things happen. Okay, I'll check one more time and see if it's coming out. And if it's not, then I'll show you guys how to do this. Good. So, step one, pull this out. Step two, disconnect the fan, which as you can see from over here, I did not do the first time I did it, hence the cracked fan. Step three, find the right size piece, and there's 2 screws. And this one I'm going to do myself just because I don't want anybody to accidentally touch the hot ends and burn themselves. Don't think you do that, but it could happen, and that would not be fun. And also feel terrible. What's that? That's probably one I'm looking for. Let's see. Thanks. Okay, let's see. Right angle. I'm trying to do it where you guys can see it. We just get started and I'll move out of the way. Guys, like I said, not practical wearing a suit and trying to troubleshoot. That was professional though, right? Do you mind if I do? Thank you. And as a background, I brought extra set in case anything goes stripped. In case that's the issue. Try fresh Faire. Does anybody want to try this out? Afraid of getting burned?
Oh, I can try.
Sure. Let's just see if we have the right size. Or if this is the only one we have. This might be the only one. So I guess we use this piece. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's these two right here. As long as you don't touch the hot end, you can't get burned. Even this won't burn. Yeah. Good stuff. You'll see once these two screws come out, the whole piece just dislodges. And you can actually see, it's pretty cool, you can see the clock. And at that point, if you can't pull it out using needle nose pliers, then you can push it through. And there's a little tool somewhere around here, a little shepherd's crook, this, that it comes with. And you actually just force it down like this, and it just squeezes right out.
What is that tool called?
It's like a little shepherd's crook.
Okay, is that how you, oh, it came with that though, right?
Yeah. The shepherd's crook in
So why you don't do that?
is it going or is it stripped?
It's stripped, but maybe
So
we're
annoying.
just not doing it well.
I feel like it's gotta be stripped.
I think so. Yeah, this one's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's working?
Yeah, this one's working.
Fantastic. Let's see if we can get that out.
Just the last one.
So many technical difficulties. Yeah? I'll show you the ones that came with it. So, 5 Bs of all varied sizes and the shepherd's crook comes with it. What doesn't come with it, scissor. I put links, because I know it sounds ridiculous, like links to the tweezer, but
That game got
On the cube side.
Right.
see this right here? Tiny URL, take a picture of that before you go. And all that stuff's there, but that is the link to everything else.
And then you're at Jordan
Kamer. That's Twitter, but the reality is we're all NYCGOE. So the easiest thing would be Facebook group, or even just our emails.
Are you Jordan Kamer at NYC?
Kamer at schools@nyc.gov. It's probably all there. It's probably, honestly, the agenda probably has all that information. This thing,
You are an expert of this for sure.
you have no idea, literally months putting this thing together.
Have you
I
thought about
submitted the
working for
proposal.
them?
What's
Have
that?
you, have you thought about working for them?
Oh, no. Definitely not. No, I like working for the city. I could see myself working with Lisa one day, but not for a private company, no. It's just stripped, right?
I think the other one is just stripped, but someone else can try. I might just like not.
Let me see the time, because
It's
there's still so many.
completely different from this
We
one.
only have 24 minutes. There's other things I can show you, honestly. There's endless content.
Do you want to keep pulling this last one out then, or no?
Nah. Honestly, I have so many videos online of 3D printing. It would have been cool if you could see it, but I mean, I have videos I can show you. You couldn't get it, right? So I don't want us to waste our time if it's not going. We could actually be learning something. I'll leave this here because when you guys go, I can fix that. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Oh, it's not. No, I have this.
All right. Let me scroll down. Okay. So this is actually really interesting. A little safety feature. The MOSFET. This right here. So this looks like maybe like $5 on Amazon. And basically what it is, it's a little heat sink. You don't have to know anything whatsoever about electrical. You don't have to know anything about soldering because you don't need soldering for this. The purpose of this is to make it so that it can't overheat wires they're not gonna burst into flame, but basically this just makes it's like a safety check. If you work with ABS gets very hot. With PLA, you'll probably never even need this. I just installed one of these in every one anyway. What you do is when you open this up, there's a big green board, and everything is actually labeled, like actually has words. If you follow the guide, it says hotbed plus minus. I promise you don't have to know anything whatsoever about electrical or soldering. I know it sounds intimidating, but this device, if you just wire it the way it says to wire it, you just watch a little YouTube video, within 10 minutes of having the thing open, this will be connected. And basically makes it so that no matter how hot this thing gets, the wires can never have any issues, short out, burn, any of that, because the heat sinks to here. For $8 or so, $10, you just have a safety feature. I just figure, how shitty would it be if I burnt the school down, you know? I mean, it's really unlikely, but considering that there's a $10 safety measure, I'll just do it. So I included that as an instructable on here also to teach you guys how to do it. Hands. Didn't get to talk about this as much as I wanted to, because I actually wanted you guys to start raising parts. We had technical difficulties. So the way that the hand works is when a kid ends their wrist, imagine they don't have a hand, and it ends right around there. As long as they can make the bending motion like this, that bending motion makes the fist. So what's cool about this is that it's purely mechanical. This is not, really is the hardest thing to 3D print, because professional engineers designed it. So as long as you pretend now that you've actually modded your printer, it looks like my printer, like that, right? And then you follow the appropriate settings, and you print this out. It'll work. The next part is all this. Yeah, and I'll show you guys how that works now. You see how it just bends? If you do it wrong, it doesn't bend right. And I have two examples of that I brought with me. Two intentionally poorly wired hands, so you guys can see what that's like. Yeah. What's crazy about this too is with the right mods, everything's mods. So, here. And then also, the same way they showed in the video, like theming it out superheroes or whatever, I did the same thing. I went on Thingiverse, which I'll show you in a second. I saw that somebody made a little Spider-Man logo, so I took that, scaled it to the right size, the right thickness, printed that out, and then literally just hot glued it so that it was connected. If I wanted to, I could also just take the soldering iron and melt it into place. Then, instead of, you'll see a lot of people making. So what I want to show you guys, if you decide that you do want to get into this, because for me, this was the motivation behind 3D printing. It's not expensive. This is at 100% scale, so this is like probably a 5-year-old's hand right here. And this used maybe about 1/3 a roll of this filament. So even if, let's say this is $25 for a reel, it's like 25 divided by 3. That's not even $10. It's not a lot of money, it's like $8-ish. So that's the plastic portion.
You could buy this from Amazon.
Everything. First, what I did was I bought one of these kits for like $30-something that comes with everything that you need, so that I could reverse engineer the kit, see the parts, and then just tell you guys the parts so you don't have to waste your money. So all it is braided fishing wire, which I wouldn't recommend touching. It's like oily, your hands will turn black. And then, you know, like those like little beaded bracelets or whatever, that's all it is. I put links to this also. Each of these is about $8 a piece. These could probably make about 100 hands a piece. The kit gives you a few pieces like that. It gives you some screws. I included all the screws also. For all the different sizes, all the different measurements, it's all there.
So that doesn't really break the beaded?
Nope. What happens is you have two different types, and I've included video links and whatnot to everything. So on the inside is where you have the braided fishing line. And that's when you pull it, which I should have left Green Lantern open so that you guys can see this. When you pull it, that's what's actually moving it. Well, it's making it so that it can actually bend. That is the elastic. There's even a video that's included in the links that shows you how to thread it through, because it's a real pain. And basically what you do is you take this, you push it through the big hole so it comes out the little hole, and then you make your knot. You take your needle nose pliers, pull it, slice it with a scissor. And then what I like to do is I take a little lighter, burn the frayed edges, push it in the hole, and then Gorilla Super Glue, just my preference. Put it drop, 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 drop. Then I do the same thing on this side. All the knots are hidden in those little compartments. Then the idea is your hand, if you go like this, and you let go, this is your natural resting pose. So the hand, to mimic that, what you do with these little tension rods, you can see the only pieces of metal that are here are these over here. For the most part, everything is 3D printed or it's an inexpensive piece of rope. So I mean, it really doesn't cost much of anything. We're not talking about bionics here. If I hold this, bend it just right, the idea is I want it to be up a little bit like that, so the natural resting position is similar to my hand. And the cool thing is there's videos to do this, and the absolute worst thing that can happen is, wow, I really screwed this up. Take a scissor, cut it, be frustrated, curse a little bit, and then go back to it the next day and do it again. And then you do one hand, and the hand works well, and then you can do more. The cool thing is that if you get involved with this through e-NABLE, you can actually send in samples of hands that you've built and have them basically certify you. It takes forever. But then they say, okay, he knows what he's doing, she knows what she's doing. At that point, you can actually, they can say, oh, wherever it is in the world, we need this kind of hand. Can you print it? Can you do it? Can you mail it out? So imagine if your kids were to do that for somebody. Instead of just, I mean, oh, it's a letter for a kid who lives where, okay, that's very nice. I built a hand. And imagine seeing a picture of a kid wearing a hand. If they don't have empathy, now they have empathy. Force them to have empathy, right? I mean, it's whatever.
Can I see that? Is that basically if you don't have access to like a printer, that's that bag with the, is that in front of it, right?
This one?
That's actually the hand? Like
No,
that's everything if you don't have
this is
access?
everything but the 3D printed
Oh,
parts.
okay.
So what happens is, this is a company, so they sell it. Because, I mean, hey, we're doing not-for-profit work, why not make a profit? So, yeah. And the funny thing is, their blog is a .org and their shop is a .com. So, it's not even their designs, because the designs are open source. But the idea is, I've included everything. So like those kits, remember where I showed the kid and said like, this many of each piece, M3, M4, M5, etc., and all the different lengths. That's everything that you would ever need, and also everything you'd ever need for these. So the beautiful thing is you write a DonorsChoose project, and for about like $40, you get like 2 giant boxes of every single screw, nut, bolt you would ever need. And even if you don't feel comfortable using it for 6 months, and whatever, let it sit. Eventually you're gonna feel ambitious, and you're gonna say, let me try this out. So here's one of the first stupid things that I did that you can learn from. I wanted to just cover this thing with tools. I wanted it to look really cool. And I had stuff resting here. So I was trying to design something. I couldn't figure out why nobody had a design to utilize these 2 screws. Why I couldn't have something sticking out here. And the answer is because that is the Z-axis sensor. So after that, it wouldn't level right, and it kept making these weird sounds. And ultimately, I figured out that's why nobody does that. I had like a little glue stick thing sticking out over there, and it looked so cool, but it broke my printer. I said all I did was just use the same screws. How's it possible? That's how it's possible. Anything that you build, you can see the screws that were here, I replaced these screws with screws that were just slightly longer. They're, off the top of my head, ain't there M3s? I've included it on why. And even M3 means nothing to you, it's just thickness. That's all it means.
Have you included the files for the designs?
I will
To
show
the
you that too.
MOSFET?
Here, let me scroll down.
But
Like-
the link to the
Yes.
presentation actually goes to an agenda.
Yes.
It
That-
doesn't go to
The agenda,
presentation.
here, let me get the agenda up and I'll show you because I got that set.
Yeah, they both go to this agenda.
Let me see. Because this is it right here. Agenda presentation. So this right here,
Yeah, this goes back to the agenda.
what's that?
I tried to.
And did you click the right one? tinyurl.com/Mr. Kamer 3D. The one that's Mr. Kamer 3D is the presentation, and the Kamer 3D printing. Can everybody see that? The most important thing is the agenda, because every single thing I've listed there. What I even did on the agenda took forever. Anything that we're talking about, the links are all on the side here too. There's probably 100 different links here. So whatever it is that you are doing, it's all here. Every community resource, every single web page. But just real quick, just because like I said, we could have had 4 hours and we could never have gotten through this. My thing was, I wanted to expose you. I wanted to, like, if you were interested to see, it's not scary. It literally is as simple as twist, push. Leveling is as simple as that feels good, that feels good, that feels good, that feels good, and it's leveled. At that point, you hit print. And the one thing I didn't get to show you that I wanted to, hairspray immediately before printing. That's it. That makes it stick. As it's going and the first layer is going around, what I like to do is pretend now there's like a first layer, there's something that's there. Like basically this stuff all over before it starts to build up, like just like a little outline. I spray it over it and it sticks. And the crazy thing is, even as you're going, you think that, oh, this is sticky, oh, it's liquid, so it's gonna get messed up. It doesn't get messed up, it helps it. So I go through more bottles of hairspray than anything. I look like a crazy person when I walk into CVS. I'd say every other week I'm in there buying hairspray. But what I'll do is, as it's tracing around, I'll go. It's still going. And it works. So the way that I view it is, if a printer costs $3,000 to $6,000, and my solution is, this is time. This doesn't cost me money. I mean, this is like nothing. This is like a couple of bucks maybe. The screws, when you buy lots of screws in those sets, you use them forever. Give them to your friends if you want to. Buying the box set just makes sense. And I feel like once you have one 3D printer, to answer, I forget his name, but he asked why wouldn't you just go all the way and get like a $6,000 printer? Because when you have a taste of one printer, you're gonna want another one. And then when you have two, you're gonna want four. So ultimately, yeah.
Can I just add something?
Absolutely.
I have, my school has 2 maker bots, which are not $6,000, but I think he asked like, why go through all of this pain? Like you go through all this pain with maker bots too. It's just like, you don't really know how it works enough to base, like to fix it. So you go through all the pain of like, a lot of the same stuff and also a lot of like, calling MakerBot, like going onto YouTube tutorials for specifically MakerBot and opening up, and if you like open the extruder for the MakerBot, it voids the warranty. So like if you have anything that you actually, like if you have a clog that won't come out, in order to fix it, you like void the warranty on it. And I had to replace my extruders after like 2 months or something. Like,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they were bad. So like you go through a lot of like stress and strain with a more like with a put together. Like a more like...
I had a lot of issues with WellSpot also. That's why I couldn't understand. I said, why doesn't it adhere? Why does my $300 printer just work? Nothing I did. I wonder if I have anything. I could tell immediately. Anything that I ever printed on that printer, one side of it would always bend up a little bit because one side wouldn't adhere. So as it would start to bend up, the other side would stick. And eventually, as it's going like this, it would rip it off. Or it wouldn't rip it off, and it just kept happening. And they gave me all the different solutions. Oh, this kind of special grade sandpaper, whatever. It just doesn't have issues. Issues that you experience today would happen after extreme wear and tear. Or dragging a suitcase through the city and bouncing up and down the subway and into your car. But I wish that we had endless time to do this. I am a resource, I'm not going anywhere. Like legitimately, people still message me about green screen photo, whatever. That was 4 years ago, and I still get messages about green screen.
That's good to know, and my principal is very willing and able, but what about your time? And when are you able to facilitate teachers coming to you and, you know, taking your break?
Well, that's kind of the idea. The idea is, right now, at least as far as Monoprice goes, probably the authority in the city, because nobody does Monoprice, but you can be two. And then there's 3 people who know how to do it, and 4 people, and etc. So that's my idea. At least whenever I can make it work, you know? But I'd rather help you guys than somebody who says, oh, my smartboard doesn't work and it's not plugged in. That's annoying. This is a privilege.
But do you do that in the class visitations where teachers come in school and they observe you? Would they, you know, without any write-up, just to see how you work with the students?
Well, that was my idea. My principal says, yes, you can do a workshop and people can come to it. Then, yes, I can do a workshop and people can come to it. And it's just a matter of getting interested people to come to the workshop. And the reality...
If you build it, we will come. Right?
Exactly.
Tell us when.
Well, the reality is that every Monday, Tuesday, whatever, you know, we have that time built in. But then we also have these days like Chancellor Conference Day or whatever. I see no reason that I couldn't do something. And, you know what I mean? Like realistically, I could see like a full day workshop or whatever it may be.
Like election day where you have to go to work with the children or help
Yeah. Well,
So
I'm
you
willing to
actually
teach.
not getting paid for.
What's that?
For the, who made the machine, you're not actually not, you're promoting the machine, but you're not actually getting paid for promoting that machine.
It's a $300 machine. I just want you to use it and write a grant.
I like that, no, I like that.
Yeah. Well, what I don't like is that this has always been my thought process. It isn't about a lesser product. Like, some people view it as you can't start with the price point, you have to start with the features. And then my idea is to replicate the features and not pay the crazy price. Apple, in my opinion, the problem with Apple as an example, as a company, is they produce the hardware and they produce the software. Windows produces the software. That's why there's Acer, Asus, Lenovo, Dell, and the list just infinitely goes on. That's why when you're just looking at hardware, you can find something with the same specs as an Apple computer, and what does it cost? A fraction of the price. If you truly wanted to, you could partition the hard drive and you could put or even build a virtual machine and put Mac on it. You can do these things. But I feel like Mac is just very simple. The same way MakerBot is very simple, and Ultimaker is very simple, and WillsBot is very simple. In my opinion, 3D printing it interests you because you want to tinker, you want to build, you want to create, you want to design, and when you do one thing, you master something else. I videotaped everything that I did and talked about the process, and the idea was teaching myself skills by doing more complex things until I could finally do a hand. And I started with keychains, and then I did supports, and eventually I tried to do the hands right away, and it just came out terrible every time because I didn't understand what I was doing. It probably would have worked with a MakerBot or an Ultimaker, but I wouldn't understand the how or the why of it. And at least in my opinion, understanding the how and the why and doing it yourself is just a really good feeling as opposed to pressing a button. It's like giving a kid a graphic calculator and they know the order of the buttons to press, and they get the right answer and they get 100 on the mouth test, but they have no idea what they're doing and they can't apply it to real life. They just know it's just follow the why and how does it apply to real life. And how can I one day have a job from this and be gainfully employed, which is the real reason.
But they don't understand that.
Well, the fun thing about this is let them make whoever they want, let it be.
They're making it with a golden mind. They're not just making something, they're making it with a golden mind.
Well, check,
A purpose.
check this out too. Imagine, I know it's time, it's cool. So PlayStation 4, Xbox One. I have kids make controller holders, controller stands, like all that stuff. Oh, just there's a session rating on LiveCube. Yeah. Rated all ones, real bad.
Thank you.
No problem. So that's how I get the kids to actually want to do it. I have them make stuff they want to make. If it's just a keychain.
Join us at 3:15 for the award ceremony.
If you like Spider-Man, you can make your Spider-Man. If you like Deadpool, make your Deadpool, whatever it is. As a final project, imagine letting the kids build something like this and explaining to them that it would be raffled off and one kid gets it, or you can each individually make a model like this and see what they choose. Some classes will choose by giving them the option. You can all make your own individual little project, or you can make something for your teacher. And I actually had, this is really cool, teacher was in a bad mood. The kids collectively decided to make her a little tea light. So it's like a little flower like this, like a little swivel pattern, and they collectively decided to make that for her because she was in a bad mood that day. And it just blew my mind. And I'm like, that's what this is all about.
How long does it take for them to make the tea light?
Well, what we did is, exactly, that's the empathy right there. And that's the whole idea. Here, tea light. Actually, you know what? Forget that. Check this out. This is what I've been doing this summer. Yeah. I want to see if I can find some. Actually, you know what? Oh, that. See this right here? I got these.
Wow.
So, in my living room, it's all
Oh,
plants.
that's a really cool design.
So what I did is I actually took magnets because the trim is metal. And I have these like this. Just. But also, this is magnetic. You'd be amazed at the things in the classroom that are magnetic. So you just go and you put a magnet behind these things. I built, it's surreal. I built shelving. My office, my lab, it's all shelving. Here. I feel like I have something I can show you real quick. I won't even bother with sound or anything. This is a channel I made because I have a cool cat years ago, and then one day I just went on, it had like 500,000 views, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something with this channel. So I switched it to 3D printing. Anyway, this is, I'm gonna mute this, but this is the setup. I built myself like a little 3D printing lab. Let's go forward.
This is your channel on YouTube?
Yeah. Honestly, I do much more stuff in the NYCSchoolsTech group. There, I just wanted to go through so you could see stuff. So here's two of the printers. Each one of those shelves, I put magnets on the back of it, and they all interlock. So I took the design and modified it a little bit. So I have a whole set of interlocking pieces, which is a lot of fun. And it organizes everything. So there's Kirby and all these different characters. Like these right here, what I'm making are little like Zen planters. So the first thing I actually made, the first complex print was Athena, which is now at home, and that's with this machine. And when I saw that it could print Athena, and it looked that good, and I was using like $15 crappy. So I was using like $15 crappy filament, and it still came out that good. I knew that this machine had potential. Then, see these little cameras? Those are IP cameras. So, I think I paid like $40 for them on Amazon. I have links to everything on there. Literally every single thing that I mentioned or failed to mention today, there's literally a link to that specific item. So, that right there, actually, I won't do it now. But the idea is I could see that view. I could see that view. And then if I was in my office and I was printing something at home, I could either manually on my phone press a button, or I could say, Alexa, turn off green printer, turn off orange printer. Done. So yeah, regardless if you know what you were doing, you go here, you click Think File, you find something that you like, and it's literally drag and drop. Any other questions you have? Because I know that people will have questions.
Yeah, the filament, so do you have also like recommendations for
The filament?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
Exactly, there's so much out there.
It's a company.
And besides PLA and ABS, is there anything else
Nope.
that the machines are doing?
I mean, the answer is yes, but it's all derivatives of that. So like technically there's glow in the dark and there's wood, but those print out. Like let's say I'm printing PLA, they have ones that print like PLA. So while technically it may not be PLA, you're printing it the same way. To the point that they don't even give it a separate classification. And then they have gold, silver, all these specialty ones that look beautiful. Like the copper version of the PLA that Hatchbox sells, when it prints out, it's like Wonder Woman's armor. It's amazing. Like,
And the flex, they are flexible as well?
flexible ones require a different head, a different type of extruder that you can add. See it?
Can you add it to it, like change the extruder on
Yeah.
this one?
There's literally guides to do all that. But by default, if anybody wants keychains, they're here. You guys stayed. Who's interested in this? Because I was going to give these away. You guys are still here. So, who thinks they'll actually end up getting one of these? I can always print out more.
Yeah,
Anybody?
I'm thinking about it.
I want to get one, but I'm not at that point yet. But I think it's so cool.
Okay, very good.
And I'm not thinking.
Yeah. Anybody else? I have two more in here.
Oh, that's for the label?
Yep.
I am thinking
I
about
mean,
it.
I'm fully blown away by this. Like, I actually got on like a 3D door, you know, at MoMA. You know, like you see, you know, those little guns are kind of like it's kind of like a kind of looks like a glue gun, but you can build with it. So that was like my baby steps towards like.
Just real quick, I want to know if anyone else wants these because I got two left. Anybody? Once.
I slowly think about getting one later.
Black, black or gray?
Before I.
It's like 20 minutes of printing stuff, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Black or gray?
I think black.
All right.
Take the gray, even though I'm not. I mean, it makes it or maybe maybe I'll.
It's not gonna be next.
What is that one? Is that something also?
Yeah, I was going to show you guys that. That.
Like if you broke your pinky?
Okay. Well, this I wired wrong on purpose as a learning experiment. But if you imagine this bending and gripping. Okay. Now this is scaled for a 5-year-old's hand. Realistically, you're never making one this small. Typically, you're dealing with like an 8-year-old or older, just the way it goes. So this, you'll see it doesn't really fit well, but on virtually any of them, yeah. When this grips on, it's just not meant for this. But the idea is that there are two of them. Okay. It's still not meant for it because it's too small. But when this grips on properly, if you just feel that versus this, you can get a real grip. Because the idea is you want them to really be able to pick up the coffee and drink the coffee, except they shouldn't because they're kids.
When their hand goes like this,
They don't tense one finger, and so they'll be all.
at this point, it's just like it just grabs the whole, it just does a whole fist, but
Yes.
maybe, but are they starting to like
Bionics.
figure out, yeah, like, but that's like a whole other, is that like a combination of this and
Yes.
bionic? Okay.
Exactly. You see that?
That comes from the key.
That's actually what I'm probably going to do this coming year.
And what are the names of those? Just the tongue?
Say that again?
What do you call those? Just
They
the
come in
tongue?
the key, no?
They're like medical fingertips.
Oh,
That'll come in the key. You
They
buy the
do.
key.
They do. There's, I have it all. Let's see if it says it here. Doesn't specify. Oh, other stuff. I didn't put it here because these are just for expoing. This is medical grade foam. And the purpose is it goes in here so that you're not scraping yourself. Then there's double Velcro. This is all, like I said, stuff that we can buy on Amazon. But realistically, at first, if you build these, it's going to be for the sake of teaching students. And it's gonna be a while before you're building one for a person, because you gotta get your skill up, like a video game. So this goes around here, so it really sticks on, so it's like part of your wrist. So when you bend, it bends. Yeah, I don't like doing projects for the sake of doing projects. I like it to be practical. Because after a while, you get bored. You know, like being a teacher can be very boring if you just keep doing the same stuff over and over. I feel like when you first start teaching, you look forward to the day that it gets boring because it's too much in the beginning, lesson plans and whatnot. And then you finally hit that point and you get bored and it's the same thing over and over. So you try to think, what can I do now?
I see one of my students last year in a science fair, she made a hand out of cardboard.
169.
Is that your school?
Yeah.
You know, she made it out of cardboard.
Yeah. So we're gonna take more. Take more. So I went to this cool workshop.
Yeah, like.
And don't forget to rate it in live cube also, because honestly, I am terrible at doing that.
Inspiring, like you were really passionate, you're so passionate about this, and it's really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wish that we had more time. Like, that's what kills me.
Thank you.
Take a kid. Give it to kids. We all work with kids, or have kids, or have kids. It's fun being able to make all your own stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a really good time.
I have a question,
Yeah.
one more. So,
That's fine. I'm not going anywhere until you guys leave. When the last person leaves, I'll leave.
my kid up is saying she made it for the fence, she made a Brougher, but out of cardboard. She has her hand in the cardboard, she couldn't hold the cup. So I'm wondering.
No problem.
So which is
Oh,
Facebook?
one sec, sorry. It's okay.
Facebook content series? What's that in the Facebook?
What was that?
The Facebook account that you have.
Facebook. Oh, NYCSchoolsTech. The same name as the tech summit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go on Facebook,
Clicks.
see NYCSchoolsTech
We can make it the web.
and yeah, that's it. It comes right up. Oh, and real quick, whoever's left, let's do a raffle. People who were definitely interested in getting one of these. You were one, right? A card or something? You'll see me. I'm also the agenda. Who else was very interested? 1, 2.
Like down the road. At my school, the tech department, I think they got like some huge, like crazy expensive.
You were very interested too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do real quick. So you three were most interested. Let's make it fair.
I wouldn't mind making a sculpture out of it.
Google random number generator. It should come right up. There we go. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. 2. Master Director. There you go. Very welcome. No problem. My goal, like I said, I want to do these workshops. I want to do these workshops where everybody who comes just gets a bag, gets a bag, gets a bag, gets a bag, gets a bag. This is what starts a fall video that's also about 2 minutes. And it's sensational.
What it was like.
I was going to end with
having
this.
a tan, or like having like any.
More importantly, I wanted to get
It was
information.
pretty hard. I get bullied a lot, and like I really wanted to be part of a team. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to act like I actually had like right hand, and they wouldn't really care if I had that.
e-NABLE is an online global community of of volunteers who are using 3D printers and 3D design software to make prosthetics for children and adults who are missing fingers, hands, and wrists.
He's the
And
founder.
we're giving them away for free.
We have
One of the
meetings.
reasons 3D printing is so well suited to this problem
Weekly,
is
sometimes
no two
bi-weekly.
cases are exactly the
You
same.
can actually see the videos
Some kids are
streamed
missing
on
all
YouTube.
the fingers, some are
The meetings
missing
are all
even
video.
the palm of the wrist.
It's all these
One of the
people
reasons
see
we
the
can produce
videos.
these devices for kind of incredibly low cost,
And we
well
actually
under
emailed that before.
$100,
It's very
is
cool.
these devices are entirely body driven, purely
So you're
mechanical, so
sending
there are no motors, no sensors, and no heavy batteries. So it's a very lightweight, very simple device.
These hands don't even pretend to look like normal hands. They're very different. These things look like something Iron Man or a superhero would have, and the kids love them for that reason.
Once I had this hand, my friends had asked, hey dude, how's it going?
Right.
And like anything changed up it, is it working better? And like it's pretty cool how they're like actually like involved, they're actually like talking to me about it. And like I love this.
I have my own
like,
lab
I
at home
can
too,
pick
but
up
I
stuff
built.
and I can help.
Because I built the labs. So the idea is typically a teacher will have, if they do 3D print,
It's been really great to have Kieran and his family come
they
in
won't
and
have a
Kieran and I
lab.
and
So if people here have a lab,
hands.
they assume I'm going to like a library or
see
something.
the higher perspective, you know, what this is all about, to see how that power of CAD, you know, translated into.
It's all technology. So I built computer, video editing, audio editing,
What Enable has done is it seems
building
that they've kind
websites,
of proven
building video
that
games.
regular people can't design amazing things if they're
Green
given access to
screen.
tools.
What else do I
I
do?
think it's pretty cool that